that. That's MSNBC.
Todd Blanche and Michael Cohen. So you only gave him $20,000 and you took $30,000. Blanche, you stole from the Trump organization, right? Cohen says, yes, sir. Blanche goes on later on. He says, you did steal from the Trump organization based upon the expected reimbursement, correct? And he says, yes, sir. So again, that is breaking it out because essentially they walked through what it is that Michael Cohen actually paid Renfridge, and this goes back to, Jose, what you were just talking about, in this brown paper bag, all cash. He came to the Trump organization, an individual who worked for Renfridge, to collect this payment, $20,000, in which Michael Cohen paid out to this individual. The other $30,000 Michael Cohen kept to himself. Subsequently, why Todd Blanche is now saying, okay, so you stole from the Trump organization, correct? And Michael Cohen says, yes, correct. I believe what during this cross we're trying to get at essentially here is even during this time in which Michael Cohen contends that he was very loyal to the Trump organization, protecting the former president, protecting his boss at the time, a man he has worked with for so long, right, since 2007, who is seen more as a father figure even, that he would then subsequently steal from him because he felt as if he was not getting the appropriate bonus that he was due, that he was expected, guys. Certainly a big exchange there, I have to say. A momentous kind of exchange between Michael Cohen, Todd Blanche. Michael Cohen says, yes, I, in fact, stole from the Trump organization.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not a great moment for the prosecution when you have a disbarred attorney and convicted perjurer also admit in open court that he stole money from his boss, who he's now trying to put in jail. That's not ideal.
No.
I don't think you need to have a law degree to understand that's not exactly where you want to be if you're a prosecutor in a case like this.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line 64636, type in DA, then a quick comment. I mean, I was shocked that a convicted felon also steals from his boss. He gave $20,000 in a bag to some tech company and then pocketed the other $30,000.
Well, so here's what the spin was. This is awesome.
Okay.
This is we're into Orwellian land again. Taxes are a contribution, that sort of thing.
Oh.
A person with a penis can be a woman, this sort of thing. Larry O'Donnell on MSNBC,
I can't stand him.
he didn't steal.
What?
He was trying to rebalance the bonus he thought he deserved. That's pretty good. That's not bad. That's right.
Oh,
so
because
if any
I
of you are
deserve
thinking
more, so I'm going to go steal from my boss.
Yeah, if any of you are you thinking about embezzling, you're going to want to pay close attention to this segment. Rebalancing the bonus I thought I deserved. That's what I was doing. I wasn't stealing from the company. I was rebalancing the bonus I thought I deserved.
I mean, how does he sit up there on the stand like that, and the prosecutors are just a bunch of idiots from making him their star witness?
Jonathan Turley, a George Washington law professor, he was in the courtroom yesterday, and he tweeted out this. I'm now out of the courtroom. It was quite a morning to have someone admit to stealing money from his client and then confirm he wants to run for Congress. It will be a novel campaign. People usually wait until they get into Congress before they commit major felonies. Well, there's one going down the street, trial going down the street, Bob Menendez. Yeah, absolutely. And Turley goes on to say, tongue firmly in cheek, committing major larceny is not a particularly appealing pitch for taking an office with the power over the purse. But then again, Cohen can claim that Congress can't possibly corrupt him. He was corrupt before he went to Congress. It's going to be a fascinating campaign if he really does want to run for Congress. This guy, not exactly Ray Donovan, the fixer that Donald Trump chose to employ, I got to tell you. So let's not forget, this is largely a series of self-inflicted wounds, no matter how much of a bottom feeder Michael Cohen is. And boy, it's hard to get lower than Michael Cohen. This is a disreputable figure, to be generous.
So when is this going to be over? I mean, when are closing arguments then? Next
well,
Tuesday?
Did they set a date for closing arguments? The defense has to rest first. I mean, they were calling witnesses. They called Bob Costello. Michael Cohen's former lawyer, and then Costello got into
down.
Yeah, gave a little too much side eye to Judge Merchant, and so he cleared the courtroom and said, you don't give me that side eye.
Don't you look at me that way, Willis?
It's surreal, but but it was interesting because Turley spoke to this too, the choice to call Costello, because it was not obvious, even though you would think it's obvious from what Bob Costello has already provided in terms of testimony before House committees. I mean, this is what Costello had to say, in the public domain about Cohen.
I swear to God, Bob, I don't have anything on Donald Trump. Who said that?
Michael Cohen about 10 to 20 times. Absolutely. I mean, there's no coincidences here. The fact that Judge Merchan has had all of these cases, and by the way, when he finishes with the Donald Trump case, Steve Bannon is next. Out of all the judges in New York County, somehow they keep on coming up with the same judge. Coincidence?
I don't think so.
I don't believe in them.
I think it's all coordinated. Let me just
And so I mean, this is why. So even though this is out there, some of it is impeaches, if it's even possible to further impeach Michael Cohen's credibility. The other piece of it, though, is Costello going after a judge. So Judge Merchan was already a little bit up on his hind legs when Costello entered the courtroom, and then he did a geez under his breath over some objection from the defense that Merchan overruled, and that's when he got a little snippy, and he told Bob Costello, former chief assistant U.S. attorney in the Southern District of Manhattan, to pipe down if you don't like my rulings. So this is going back to Turley now. This was Turley on that aspect of it, where the case is for the defense for Trump, and the choice to have Costello testify.
I'm one of those risk-averse defense attorneys. If I think I'm going to win a case, I'm going to stop. And I think they have won this case. The problem is that this is not an ordinary case. So my view is that even if there's a conviction, it would have to be overturned at this point. But this is a man running for president. Quite frankly, Costello is a kill shot witness. You only call him if you want a kill shot at trial, that you feel that you need to make sure this doesn't result in a conviction, even though I think it's going very well for the defense. And it went very well today for the defense.
Yeah, and so this is why Trump is not going to testify, but I can't imagine a scenario in which he would testify because of where the case is and because of how strong a witness Costello is expected to be, no matter how much Judge Merchan tries to sort of undermine him or get under his skin to corrupt his testimony. I don't think it's going to work. So that's where it's at, which is not too bad. In fact, it's pretty good for Trump right now, I think. But again, what will a Manhattan jury do? Rich in Indian Head Park, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning, Dan. Good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy. Do you think that Trump's lawyers did enough to discredit Cohen to get Trump a mistrial at the very least and acquittal at the best? What do you think about it?
Thanks for the call, Rich. Trump's lawyers just had to basically say, Michael Cohen, start talking. They just had to not get in his way, just prompt him with questions. There's all of this damning evidence of him having a very loose relationship with the truth. And so the combination of he comes in as a convicted perjurer and a disbarred attorney. He got backed into a corner on a number of occasions in terms of things he said previously versus things he's saying now. Bob Costello is testifying to the same. And then you have him admitting in open court that he embezzled from his employer. Yeah, I think they've done enough to impeach his credibility. And I think and if this is your star witness, then I think they've done enough to, if there is a sensible juror on that jury,
Right.
to get a mistrial with a hung jury. And maybe, we were talking about this last week. Maybe this has boomeranged so badly on the Dems that you could see an acquittal. And this is the conversation, and it's all just handicapping. I mean, it's really just conjecture. But does Judge Merchan, even though he's loath to do it, step in for and essentially grant a motion to dismiss to avoid an acquittal? The state failed to make its case is one thing. The jury acquits. then Merchant, as well as the prosecution and the entire court system, comes under immense criticism. I mean, you had a Manhattan jury. These are not Trump supporters. It was so bad. It was so much of an overreach. You presided over such a catastrophic show trial, Judge Merchant, that even Trump haters voted to acquit. That would be an incredibly bad look for the principals in this case, wouldn't it? So I don't know. I'm not in the courtroom. I don't. Even if I was, I don't hold myself out to be some sort of jury shaman. So it's really difficult to say. But on the merits of it, what you're hearing from people in the courtroom who are law professors like Jonathan Turley, what you're hearing really roundly, even from news outlets that are 24/7 Trump hate, is that this is a weak case that seems to have gotten weaker by the day. And, and then Trump and all these Republican surrogates are out day after day in front of the cameras, making sure that people know what this is about. Trump yesterday.
You know what the crime is? I beat Hillary Clinton. That's what the crime is. And they don't want me to meet on behalf of, I think, 200 million people. They don't want me to meet Biden. Okay? But it's a shame. This is what they've done.
And maybe if you did have a jury reject this political witch trial, maybe that would restore some credibility to the criminal justice system in New York City. Could certainly use it after this.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 5:38, I'd like some help. I was silent when Queen Latifah was tapped to be the next equalizer. Yeah. But I can stay silent no more when Kathy Bates is going to be Matlock in the Matlock reboot. So I'm searching for more suggestions for unwatchable reboots that Hollywood could make to actually have a boomerang effect with respect to arts and entertainment. This identitarianism could boomerang on Hollywood too at 5:38.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
It's 5:32, 62 degrees, and President Biden continuing to push for a bipartisan border security bill in the Senate. Biden meeting with Speaker Mike Johnson and Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell on Monday. Jessica Vaughn with the Center for Immigration Study says the Democrats are putting up a flawed bill that they know will get shot down.
They want to convince people that they are trying to fix it, even though this bill would not have fixed it. It would only have made things worse.
The legislation does have some backing from the White House. Former President Trump's defense team expected to rest its case today in his hush money trial. It's also unclear if Donald Trump will testify in his own defense. Prosecution is resting its case in former President Trump's hush money trial, and former legal advisor to Michael Cohen, Robert Costello, testified yesterday that Cohen had said numerous times that the former president knew nothing of the hush money payments to Stormy Daniels. White House officials say the U.S. had no part to play in the crash that killed Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi.
The United States had no part to play in that crash, and that's a fact, plain and simple.
The comment from Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin when asked about that at a news conference on Monday. The granddaughter of Elvis Presley is suing to stop the sale of the King's Graceland mansion. Attorneys representing Riley Keough say a temporary restraining order has been issued for the auction scheduled to be held Thursday. Keough inherited the Memphis home last year after her mother, Lisa Marie Presley, died. Lisa Marie Presley had owned the estate since her father's death in 1977. Cleanup underway after storms struck Chicago's South Side in the Beverly neighborhood.
My mom wasn't home. I can't imagine how scary that would have been if she was. The crashing of the glass.
19th Ward Alderman Matt O'Shea tells us dozens of trees were downed in yesterday's storm. And the National Weather Service says for Wisconsin, there is an enhanced risk of severe weather. Everyone from the Illinois border to as far north as Eau Claire and Appleton, and 2 rounds of storms, one this morning and another this evening. Northwestern University facing a class action lawsuit over alleged anti-Semitism on campus. An anonymous student filed the complaint in federal court on Monday.
The university has an obligation under its own policies as well as the Civil Rights Act to ensure that the First Amendment of these students does not overtake the university's obligation to ensure that Jewish students have a safe environment.
Jonathan Lindenfeld is the attorney for that student. 3 days of hearings for the Delphi murders case have been canceled in Northwest Indiana. Richard Allen is accused of killing Libby German and Abby Williams in 2017. Illinois high school juniors will take the ACT instead of the SAT to graduate starting next school year. Illinois State Board of Education has updated taxpayers on the switch after its monthly meeting. Spokesperson for the school says the ACT was awarded a $53 million contract over the course of 6 years. State requires students to take a college entrance exam in order to graduate. School districts in the state have given the SAT for almost a decade. White Sox lost to Toronto 9-3. Cubs start a series with the Braves at Wrigley. Bears ramping up the 2024 season with OTAs at Hallis Hall. And the Celtics will host the Pacers in Game 1 of the NBA's Eastern Conference Finals at the Garden. Pacers are in their first conference finals since 2014. The news, a service of Woodland Windows and Doors. Explore a variety of Infinity from Marvin Windows at Woodland Windows and Doors. Purchase now through June 30th to receive 10% off installation. Visit woodlandwindows.com to make your appointment today. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Brandon Tatum can see the trick.
Joe Biden wrote on X complaining about the disparity in earnings between male and female, and he's being disingenuous. These people on the left, these Democrats, are pushing an agenda that's not rooted in facts and reality. They're trying to do their best with abortion, wage gap, and all this other stuff to turn out female voters to vote for them.
The Officer Tatum Show, weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
Oil investments involve a high degree of risk and actual results may vary. Oil and natural gas keep going up as the Russia conflict escalates. Get in on the next major oil boom now and help the U.S. with your patriotic investment that can potentially pay you monthly income for up to 20 or more years. That's the sound of a producing oil well and the sound of a smart investment. If you're an SEC accredited investor and have at least $25,000 liquid now, you can take advantage of Encore Energy's projects and a huge tax savings for this year. If you invest in oil and natural gas, you're allowed to write off nearly 100% of your investment in the first year. Goldman Sachs is projecting oil to go up to $100 a barrel, and natural gas is the fuel of the future and trading at record prices. Call 800-287-6691. Encore Energy is a major investor and experienced operator in its core area of operations. Call now and learn how to deduct 100% of your investment and create 20 or more years of potential monthly income. Call 800-287-6691. That's 800-287-6691.
Augustino's Rock and Roll Deli, a family-owned restaurant, a Chicago family favorite for over 40 years. Why? Because they're known for sub sandwiches the size of your forearm. No joke. Their 6-inch sub has more meat and cheese in it than any foot long in an Irish neighborhood. These sandwiches are iconic, famous for their homemade Italian beef, meatballs, burgers, and of course, delicious Italian subs loaded with mortadella, cabagol, salami, provolone, and their own secret sauce called Love Potion No. 9. This vinegar and oil dressing is famous on its own. Both Augustino's locations boast walls covered in authentic rock and roll memorabilia and artifacts, all celebrating their love for good old-fashioned rock and roll. Augie's is a feast for your eyes and your stomach. Dine in or carry out. Bring the family or the team. Plus, Augie's caters corporate meetings, parties, and celebrations. Don't make it yourself. Make it happen with Augustino's. Go to Augustinos.com for locations and menus. That's Augustinos.com.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
5:39. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is a service of scholarships.com. Join scholarships.com free to find accurate and vetted scholarships personalized for your student. That's scholarships.com. We're focused on two problem spots. One is on the outbound Bishop Ford with major stop-and-go traffic outbound between Cottage Grove and 115th with road work blocking two right lanes until 6 a.m. And big delays on the outbound Ike this morning between 25th and Wolf and farther out as you travel on the Ike extension because of an overturned semi. They're uprighting that semi right now. Two right lanes do remain blocked. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Variable clouds, a high of 88, cloudy, windy, strong thunderstorms hanging around until about midnight, low 61. Tomorrow, lower humidity, clouds and sun, high 75. 63 right now, 64 at Midway. Your next news update is at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We'll veer off the political trail for a minute into, I wouldn't say something frivolous, although it may come across that way, because arts and entertainment matter. They're an integral part of the culture, and they have significant persuasive power. So the identitarianism that Hollywood pushes does matter. It's impactful. Does it not?
I agree.
No
Shapes
question.
Your culture. Yep.
I mean, especially the way that Hollywood stars, television and film stars, are lionized and idolized.
And why isn't P. Diddy in jail? Did you see that video that was released? I mean, I know it's from 2016, but, you know, they changed the rules for Trump with this E. Jean Carroll bull jive case, but they don't change the rules for other certain celebrities.
Well, that was a civil trial, not a criminal trial. I don't know. I don't know if what the statute of limitations in California is for his ex-girlfriend, but he's got all kinds of problems. I like the Babylon Bee headline on P. Diddy.
What?
It's surprising. It turns out that P. Diddy does everything that he sings about in his songs. What a surprise.
And his relationship with Meek Mills, and it's just so gross.
Well, I saw the apology video. He apologized, and he hit rock bottom in 2016, so we're all supposed to move on.
Yeah, right. But then at the end, he's like, but you don't have to forgive me. Like, what? Then why are you apologizing?
I know I don't.
I don't want to, and I'm not.
So here's the thing. It's bad enough that Hollywood doesn't have very many new ideas, especially for television shows. And Seinfeld spoke to this a couple of weeks ago, we talked about with respect to sitcoms. But, of course, it's across the board, drama series as well. So you see all these reboots. And, you know, the reboot isn't the worst thing, depending on the quality of the reboot. But in addition to being lazy, not coming up with new treatments, then you have these reboots that are in service to identitarian politics and completely unwatchable. They're farcical. Just forget before you watch the first episode. Queen Latifah is the equalizer? I mean, honestly.
I'm so upset about that.
Now Kathy Bates is Matlock? Is she going to wear the seersucker suit? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. I'm looking for some help. I started to compile a list yesterday on Twitter and enlisted suggestions, and I'm doing so again. So if you have any, and it could be a sitcom, it could be a drama, but we're trying to specifically limit it to TV, though I did have one movie idea.
Okay, 312-642-5600. Turnkey.pro answer line. You can also text us at 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment.
You want to hear my movie idea?
Okay. All right.
The Last Honky on Earth, starring Kevin Hart. All right, some other TV shows, and we got some good contributions already.
Oh my God.
But I want to put together a list.
Okay.
Charlize Theron and her trans son in a reboot of Courtship of Eddie's Father.
Okay.
Tony Fauci and Quincy M.E.
I wouldn't.
Dylan Mulvaney is the Barbara Eden I Dream of Jeannie. Yeah, I could see him.
That
in
actually, in a bottle. He'd love the bottle. Or
yeah.
she. Oh my God, this bottle's great. Let me tell you why. And then she can romp around on her bed, her pink bed, you know. That's what
Yeah,
she
I
does.
think I think you could sell that in Hollywood. Maybe I will. Pete and Chasten Buttigieg in Green Acres. Danny Carlino asked, "Who has to chest feed Arnold Ziffel?" Great question.
Chest feeding.
Wait, you got to wait for it.
You ruined my Mother's Day with that picture.
The chest feeding?
Yeah, so on Mother's Day, in case you guys missed it, I thought, I woke up and I looked over at my phone like, oh, that's so nice. Dan sent me a Mother's Day message. It's a picture of Pete Buttigieg chest feeding his baby.
Well, he's got the full body armor on. He's got the breast body,
That's how you chest feed. You can't chest feed without boobs.
Yeah, well, anything with teats can provide milk, Greg, or something to that effect.
Yeah.
Al Sharpton and Joy Reid in Highway to Heaven. What you think? I think Al Sharpton would make a great, Jonathan with the Michael Landon character.
I'm watching this Matlock trailer here. What? Has this been out for a while? I didn't know about it.
I just saw the trailer for it. Watching the golf tournament, watching the PGA over the weekend. I'm like, are you? I mean, I did like a Danny Thomas spit take. I mean, come on. And then I just had enough. Lizzo is the Incredible Hulk. Megan Rapinoe.
Excuse me.
Megan Rapinoe, Caitlyn Jenner, Whoopi Goldberg, and Joy Behar in a reboot of Sex and the City. Who wouldn't want to watch that?
What about a reboot of Baywatch? Who would be in that?
Oh, yeah, I saw somebody suggested a reboot of Baywatch on Twitter.
What would the reboot?
Biden and Corn Pop.
Oh, that's
a good start.
That is a good start.
Yeah, Biden, obviously the Hasselhoff character.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, of course. And then you could have Corn Pop and some small black kids playing with the blonde hair on his legs. Remember, he alleges that while he was on the lifeguard stand, they'd lean over and play with his hair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm sure that happened.
RuPaul,
this is sort of here's one. RuPaul and the Queen of Queens.
The King of Queens? Oh, is a spinoff of the King of Queens?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
RuPaul plays both characters?
Yeah.
Plays the Kevin James character and the...
Yeah, there you go.
This is a bit of a deeper dig, but see how people react to it. It's just spitballing here. It's just an idea session. LeBron James is the coach in White Shadow, and he coaches a bunch of honky kids from like the North Shore.
Okay.
So you reverse it there. You remember White Shadow?
Yes. That's
it
was about his son. Could his son be a part of that somehow? Somewhere?
Yeah, well, he's not going to play in the NBA, so I might as well.
I know. Why did he go in the portal?
Oprah as MacGyver reboot. I don't know. Sort of stretch, but all right, let's take some. Perry and Niles.
Hey, good morning. They already got a new MacGyver, but it's just a white guy. So yeah, you're right. They could.
Yeah, that doesn't work. Right.
Instead of my mother the car, my mother the EV.
All right, thanks for the call, Perry.
We got one. Tony Fauci as Dr. Quinn, medicine woman.
That's not bad.
Remember that show? I like that show.
Sure.
Dr. Quinn, medicine woman.
The Fetching Jane Seymour.
Oh, she's beautiful.
Bill in LaSalle County. It's pretty good.
Hi, how about Hillary Clinton for Murder, She Wrote?
That's pretty good. Yeah. George in Naperville.
Yeah, Dan, how about Kamala Harris as the nanny?
That's pretty good, too. Thanks for the car.
What did Drew Barrymore call her? Mamala?
Mamala. Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
You're our
the
mom.
country's mom.
Yeah.
Or Mamala.
Mamala. And then they made out.
Yeah,
and then
exactly. And then she licked her face and sat on her lap and said, "Nurse me."
And she is. That's a good. I like that because she is just as annoying, if not more so, than Fran Drescher.
Oh.
So that might
yeah,
work.
You know what?
Actually,
Fran Drescher is annoying. Her character that she played was. I don't think she acts like that in real life, does she?
Sorta. Eduardo, Tampa Bay.
Yeah, before I get to my TV recommendation, real quickly, the Ministry of Ungenerally Welfare, Henry Cavill, might be the next Bond. It's a good movie. Check it out.
Yeah, I saw it. It's pretty good. But if you want to do a movie recommendation, a serious one.
Yeah. TV, real quickly, Jason Statham in the 80s Black Stingray. Remember that TV show? It was a couple years.
What was it called?
Statham. Stingray. It was a black stingray.
Stingray.
It was in the 80s. Nick Mancuso. He's Canadian, but maybe.
Thanks for the call.
Hey, got
Eduardo.
some text messages.
Okay.
Rachel Levine and Caitlyn Jenner in bosom buddies.
That's good. That's good.
Dan, actually, the LeBron James idea ain't bad.
Thank you. I could. Like I
they
said,
actually think they've evolved them so far that could.
Some of these concepts I think I could legitimately sell. I mean, they sort of write themselves. How about Colin Kaepernick as Archie Bunker in a reboot of All in the Family? And
that would be awesome.
And his wife can be that Jameel Hill who left ESPN to go write racist screeds for the Atlantic.
Will Smith and family in Bonanza. Trump and Biden, the odd couple. No, that's good.
Let's
That's
see.
good.
I thought I saw some other. Oh, I liked. Somebody else had one. Hold on a second. Elliot Page as Beaver Cleaver. Yeah, that's good. You know, Ellen, now Elliot.
Right,
yeah. That's not bad. I like that. That's definitely center cut. That's what we're talking about here.
Of course.
Let's see. Hold on, I'll take my calls for a second. Barney Fife. So a reboot of the Andy Griffith Show. Barney Fife only gets half a bullet in his pocket because of police defunding. Well, that's an episode, but you got to cast it. Yes. We're in the casting phase of the project here. Dave in Wakanda.
Hey, I got one. It's the squad with Jamal Bowman and Saved by the Bell. If you know what I mean?
That's pretty good. Yeah, that's good.
Yes,
I like
and he
that.
pulled that alarm to get out of a government shutdown vote on the House floor.
Exactly.
I could
We
have
talked
called
about that
Dave.
yesterday. I mean, how is it you say you press that button to get out the exit? I mean, nobody buys that.
What about AOC, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, and Ayanna Pressley in a reboot of Facts of Life?
Oh, that would be good. Or what about that same cast in Charlie's Angels?
Yeah.
But you could call it
Works.
Progressive Angels instead of Charlie's Angels.
Mm-hmm.
That's my contribution to today.
Oh, I think you just stole Matt. Matt from Mount Greenwood. You have a. You just stole. Amy just stole that.
Oh, I didn't. I swear I didn't.
Absolutely, but I just don't know who's going to play Farrah Fawcett, and none of them can be seen.
Marjorie Taylor Greene.
I don't. Maybe. Thanks for the call. I think. No, you have to.
Oh, you have to have. Well, I mean, I'm just saying. Then you can have automatic conflict with the characters.
Mhm.
If you have AOC, some of the Spice Girls, and have MTG. Oh, the fake eyelashes will be a flowing. Woo!
Well, sure, you could do a reboot where there's conflict rather
Right.
than comedy between them, and Charlie too. Maybe you could have Marjorie Taylor Greene be Charlie, or you could just throw in another socialist Spice Girl like. That would
that
be
would be
perfect.
Bowman. Would be the Spice. Would be Charlie.
Who?
The Jamal.
No. You got to get no. You have to. Charlie has to be a woman.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And a woman of color. So you have the some of the social Spice Girls, but there's more. Now you've got fake eyelashes Spice, Jasmine Crockett. She could be Charlie.
Okay.
Or you could have security detail Spice, Cori Bush be Charlie. The social Spice Girls has expanded.
Oh wait, Sean Caston's got to be something.
He could be Charlie.
No, he's too much of a, to be
douche.
Rachel Maddow as the Fonz in Happy Days.
That's good. Yeah, that works.
Really good.
Joe in Hoffman Estates.
It'd be awesome if we could watch the Dukes of Hazzard, but they drive a Prius.
Smart car. Thanks for the call, Joe.
Mitch
Yeah.
McConnell, Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, and Al Sharpton.
Golden Girls?
A-Team.
Oh, A-Team. Yeah. All right. I can't believe it. I forgot about doing a Golden Girls reboot. That could be easily cast by members of Congress.
Yeah, that's true.
Matt, Southside.
Hey, good morning, dear. Good morning, Amy. I say Harvey Weinstein and Touched by an Angel.
Oh, my God. Stop it.
Thanks, Matt. Anthony and Joliet. Oh, we lost Anthony. Oh.
He had a good one, though.
Who did he had a Sanford and Son reboot? What was it?
I think Al Sharpton and Obama.
There's Sanford and Son?
Yeah.
And then Tony Preckwinkle's Grady. Doug in Oak Lawn.
Yeah, I was going to say P. Diddy and R. Kelly is Janet and Chrissy, and Michelle Obama is Jack Tripper for Three's Company.
There you go.
That's good.
Who's Mr. Roper?
And
Mrs. Roper.
Valerie, Jared, and David Axelrod.
Perfect. Was with them anyway.
Valerie
Jared does.
Ralph and Rantoul.
I'm thinking about Pete Buttigieg as Pee Wee Herman in Pee Wee's Playhouse, or Pee Wee's Big Adventure.
Yeah, that's
not
actually
bad.
a good fit.
Got the bicycle.
That could happen.
Oh, with
yeah,
the bicycle.
The
Oh,
bicycle
yeah.
too. Yeah.
And the tight short pants like Pee Wee would wear. He wears those.
Although
tight suit.
Skinny suits.
Although I think Paul Rubens actually did ride a bicycle as opposed to just pretending to ride one half a block like P-Butt does.
He'd have way too much fun on a bicycle.
Indeed.
He could take the twins.
Thanks, Ralph.
Strap him on the front of the bike.
Yeah.
While he's chest feeding through town.
Right, if he can get them off his teat. Brian, St. John, Indiana.
Hey, what's up, man? I think the Fonz takes the crown.
Yeah, Rachel Maddow's The Fonz is really good.
Bruce Jenner and Dylan Mulvaney as stepbrothers. That's all I got.
Thanks for the call.
Oh, wait, who's going to be in Dumb and Dumber? Ooh. The reboot of Dumb and Dumber.
Well, obviously, that's a role that Kamala was born to play.
Oh, yes. Stacey Abrams as Cannon.
That's good.
That's really good.
Pete in Montgomery.
Kim Fox in Gunsmoke. Now there's some law and order.
Yeah.
Dan
thanks for
and
the call,
Amy,
Pete.
you should have the squad in Baywatch.
Yeah. All right. Do we have any? I want to make sure. So I like Rachel Maddow's The Fonz and Stacey Abrams as Cannon is really good too. That is like center cut. That is like Kathy Bates as Matlock. Very good. All right. Very good. Thank you everyone for the contributions. I'll let you know what we can get optioned there in Tinseltown. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, Doctors Economos, Gavalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidisciplined practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology, such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930. That's 630-830-4930. Or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
AM 560. The Answer. Answer.
Susan and Glencoe, quickly.
Hi, I think Trump and Melania should be the ropers on the Three Companies reboot.
I
No,
like
there you
that.
go. That's good. Thanks for the call.
All right, coming.
Snoop Dogg and Martha Stewart in the Brady Bunch reboot. Yeah, all right. We'll take more throughout the morning.
Jesse Smollett is Beretta.
Okay.
All right, it is now 6 a.m. WIND Chicago.
Could this be the last day of testimony at the Trump trial? I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
There were no crimes. We did nothing wrong. And I want to get back to campaigning.
The former president, after some testy testimony from a defense witness, Robert Costello, a former advisor to Michael Cohen, admonished by the judge.
At one point, he was muttering under his breath, saying, "This is ridiculous." He was rolling his eyes. Well, that really ticked off the judge. Judge Juan Merchan ordered everybody out of the courtroom. They completely cleared the courtroom.
Fox's Eric Shawn outside that court in New York.
Costello, a Trump ally, is a well-known New York lawyer. You may remember that last week he stunned observers by telling Congress he heard a completely different story from Michael Cohen than what Cohen told the jury. On the stand yesterday, Costello testified that, quote, Michael Cohen said numerous times that President Trump knew nothing about the payment to Stormy Daniels.
The former president's charged with falsifying records, reimbursing Cohen for paying Daniels to keep an alleged affair quiet before the 2016 election. President Biden came to Israel's defense at a Jewish heritage event, hours after an international criminal court prosecutor announced he wants arrest warrants for Israeli and Hamas leaders for war crimes in Gaza.
Contrary to allegations against Israel made by the International Court of Justice, what's happening is not genocide. We reject that.
France and Belgium agree with the prosecutors, and one of the advocates behind the court's action is
George Clooney's wife, Amal, a Lebanese human rights lawyer and the co-founder of the Clooney Foundation for Justice. Clooney writing in part, quote, we unanimously conclude that there are reasonable grounds to believe that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant have committed war crimes and crimes against humanity, including starvation as a method of warfare, murder, persecution, and extermination.
Fox's Cheryl Casoni, horror in midair. A Singapore Airlines flight from London got hit with turbulence so bad a person on board was killed, other passengers injured. America's listening to Fox News.
62 degrees at 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Cleanup underway after a storm struck Chicago's Beverly neighborhood.
My mom wasn't home. I can't imagine how scary that would have been if she was. You know, the crashing of the glass.
19th Ward Alderman Matt O'Shea tells us dozens of trees are down after yesterday's storm. Now, the National Weather Service says for Wisconsin, there is an enhanced risk for severe weather for everyone from the Illinois border to as far north as Appleton. Northwestern University facing a class action lawsuit over alleged anti-Semitism on campus. An anonymous student filed the complaint on Monday.
The university has an obligation under its own policies as well as the Civil Rights Act to ensure that the First Amendment of these students does not overtake the university's obligation to ensure that Jewish students have a safe environment.
Jonathan Lindenfeld is the attorney for the student. Pretrial release denied for a man accused of killing a Joliet bartender in 2017. Jeremy Boshiers is awaiting a second trial in the murder of Katie Kearns. He was found guilty of murder and concealing a homicide in May of 2022, but a Will County judge overturned that conviction due to errors made during trial. A school board meeting in Stanger drew dozens on Monday night following the filing of a lawsuit against a staff member there over alleged sexual misconduct. The suit is against one of the teachers at Bloom Trail High School. It accuses a person who has worked there at the school for at least 2 decades of sexual assault and abuse. White Sox lost to Toronto 9-3, while Javier Assad will climb the hill for the Cubs as they start a series against the Braves. Stanley Cup playoffs, the Oilers scored 3 times in the second period, edging the Canucks in Vancouver 3-2 and punching their ticket to the West Finals. The news, a service of Health Insurance Mentors. Are you 65 or older and thinking about Medicare? Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Call Stephen Tucker today for free Medicare advice at healthinsurancementors.com or call 630-674-1551. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher doesn't think now is the time.
I have to plead guilty to avoiding the drama around Speaker Johnson, and let me tell you why. Trying to replace him before the election would be a disaster. It would be political suicide for the Republican Party. We've got a lot of momentum. The last thing we need to do is have another fiasco of replacing Mike Johnson before the election.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for less. And for a limited time, new customers receive their second month free when they sign up and use promo code MONTHFREE by May 31st. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
You know, since 9/11, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation has been committed to supporting our nation's first responders and veterans. They support America's heroes like U.S. Army Major Jonathan Turnbull. Now, Major Turnbull sustained devastating injuries at the hands of an ISIS suicide bomber. Tunnel to Towers gave him a specially adapted smart home designed for his needs. Join Tunnel to Towers. They're hoping all of us will donate $11 a month so this great work continues. Their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org.
Parents, grandparents, you might want to be sitting down, because this is amazing news. Imagine the student in your family not asking you for money to pay for college, or better yet, not getting into years and years of debt. How's this possible? Scholarships.com, a trusted and widely used scholarship platform that helps your student find scholarships and navigate the financial aid process. Get help to pay for college through a personalized list of scholarships that your student actually qualifies for. Better yet, every scholarship is vetted to ensure accuracy. And now the best part, drum roll please, it's absolutely free. Go to scholarships.com today. Both students and parents can join for free. And within minutes, receive your list of personalized scholarship matches. Check out the wealth of information and resources available at no cost. And read the fantastic reviews from other scholarship winners. Scholarships.com has helped over 23 million students and families find scholarships to help pay for college. And will help you too. Join scholarships.com today for free. That's scholarships.com.
6:07, let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Well, starting in McHenry this morning, where there's a major structure fire in the cleanup stages and is blocking Justin Road east and westbound between Bearville and Wright Road. That's in McHenry this morning. Road work blocking a right-hand lane westbound I-80 this morning between Hobart and Shepley. Cleanup continues on the outbound Eisenhower as you're traveling just past York Road. Report of an accident there, actually between Des Plaines and Wolf Road. On the outbound Ike, due to overturned semis, 2 right lanes are blocked. That accident occurred around midnight. They're still trying to clean that up and get that out of your way. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
For today, variable cloudiness and look for a daytime high of 88. It'll be windy. Clouds and windy tonight. Strong thunderstorm until after midnight. Downpours, hail, damaging wind, isolated tornado possible of 61. Partly sunny, nice day tomorrow, the high 75. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Partly cloudy, 62 at O'Hare, 63 at Midway, 62 in Aurora, 61 in Lansing, 61 in Michigan City. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
All right.
Sorry.
Excuse
me. You got
me.
your liner, yeah, sorry.
I have a very important announcement to make.
Yeah.
Cigar Night with Dennis Prager is coming Thursday. And because of the high demand for tickets, and people keep texting me like, hey, can you get me in? We've opened up a new block of overflow tickets. These tickets will be adjacent to the main tent, so you'll be able to enjoy the event, but you will be sitting outside. So if you attend, dressed according for the weather. Also, these overflow tickets do not include a cigar, but cigars will be available on site for purchase. My gosh, give them a cigar, Dan. So if you want to be part of our cigar night on Thursday, you must purchase an overflow ticket before Wednesday. That's tomorrow, before Wednesday at noon. At that point, advance sales will end. To purchase tickets, go to 560theanswer.com/cigar. That's 560theanswer.com/cigar. So when are you coming back?
I'm in tomorrow afternoon, but the weather is going to be different inside the tent versus outside the tent. I mean, it's not, it's
a tent.
Well, I mean, I suppose if it rains, but I mean, it's not.
But it doesn't look like it's going to rain on Thursday, so you should be fine.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
So 560theanswer.com/cigar to see Dan and Dennis Prager and Sean and Jeannie Ives and I will be parking cars out front. So.
Wonderful. It's a little side hustle. Make some side cash.
Cagney and Lacey, Jeannie Ives and Amy Jacobson.
There you go. Another reboot. A couple more on that, just because I wanted to get them in. I can't believe I missed this one since I refer to them all the time in this way. But, of course, the Biden family as the Biden hillbillies. You could do like a reality show.
There you go. That's perfect.
But we also have now cast a Dumb and Dumber reboot because there is a series in addition to the movie. There was. Wasn't very good. Is Hank Johnson and Kamala, Dumb and Dumber. That's pretty good.
Oh, and the kid of Adventures at Guam could be one of their episodes.
Yeah.
And they could rock the island. Ooh. Is it going to tilt over? That would be good.
All right. Speaking of imbeciles, President Biden was in Detroit yesterday, continuing with his race hustling to try to rescue his flailing candidacy by bringing black voters who are moving away from him in significant enough numbers that he's got a problem bringing them back into the fold. And he started in Detroit, where he left off in his commencement address at Morehouse College, talking about January 6th. Well, trying to talk about January 6th.
He calls the erectionists who stormed Capitol Hill patriots.
You know, the erectionist thing, this isn't just a Biden problem.
No.
This is something that has afflicted Democrat socialists ever since January 6th. Listen, I think there's a psychological condition. Well, there's many, actually, the dark triad to start with. But in addition to the dark triad personality traits that afflict these Democrat socialists, there's another one, because it's not just Mr. 10% that keeps going below the belt, if you will.
Let's talk about the fact that President Trump incited an erection.
Oh, yeah.
Various cases of, he's got charges of inciting an erection.
Donald John Trump incited the erection.
Oh, gross.
Yeah, and I think what you'd have is sort of a mass case of penis envy, particularly with respect to Pagliacci Schumer.
Yeah, I mean, they can't get that off their minds.
They can't stop thinking about Trump's junk.
I know.
It's weird. All right. Just wanted to point that out. I'd like to help deal with the people that have mental health issues, so that's a condition. In addition to the issue of penis envy being displayed again in Detroit, Biden also seems to have sort of lost his place in time, where he was in which decade.
And when I was vice president, things were kind of bad during the pandemic. And what happened was, Barack said to me, go to Detroit and help fix it. Well, poor mayor, he spent more time with me than he ever thought he was going to have to. God love you.
Can I?
All
right, let's think about that one. COVID started when Trump was president, right?
when Biden was not his vice president, correct?
Exactly, yes.
Yeah.
The epicenter was Detroit. What? And I had to go and fix it in
Yeah.
Detroit?
So I'm
The
trying
epicenter
to.
was New York City, yes.
What they're going to say is he's not talking about, because here's the spin that will be today, I guarantee it. He's not talking about COVID. Of course, he's talking about H1N1. Oh, I see. Oh, but here's the problem. H1N1 was 2009, so the swine flu, that was 2009. And that mayor of Detroit sitting next to him was elected in 2014. So if you're going to use the swine flu as your cover story and say that was a pandemic, which is a stretch, but that was 2009, and it precedes the mayor that he's referring to spending a lot of time with to fix it in Detroit. I mean, the guy's shot. We know this.
Well, he also said something horrifically offensive because, he's placating to the Palestinian Americans to try and get their votes back. But, at the same time, don't forget the hostages. And he got that wrong. Hirsch Goldberg Poland from Chicago, was born here, lived here for a while. He's the one who got his hand blown off at the music festival. And there was recently a video released that's showing that he's, still alive. And this is what Biden said.
My administration is working around the clock to free the remaining hostages, just as we have freed hostages already. And here with us today is Hirsch Goldberg Poland, and there's still, he is not here with us, but he's still being held by Hamas.
I mean, that is the leader of the free world there, right? That guy, he's here with us today. No, he's not.
Well, right. I mean, he's
completely lost it.
Right. So this
insulting.
is what you're getting. But again, this is I want to emphasize this with debates. The first debate just 5-6 weeks away. That this is somebody who is exacting. He is on top of things. The meetings that he hosts with his cabinet secretaries are rigorous. This is what they say.
They can't keep up.
This is what they say. He is an intellectual dynamo behind closed doors, and I believe them. So this is their nominee. He is up to the job, they say. What do you say? What does the American people say? Just turn the question. Don't debate it with them. Accept their characterization and ask the American people what they think. If they think they're being leveled with. They've already answered the question, like by about a 3-1 margin in terms of his capacity for the job. But no need to get into the back and forth. Whatever you say, Ali Mayorkas et al., Karine Jean-Pierre, the big guy himself, whatever you say, got it. I believe you. Now we'll just ask the American people what they believe. Pretty simple.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment.
The race hustle thing, though, it's complicated. It's still complicated. And we talked about this a bit with his patronizing, sort of appealing to the lowest common denominator efforts at Morehouse College, which were not received well. But as we said yesterday, just because they weren't received well doesn't mean that the race hustle doesn't still have appeal. They're not being received well. They could, by some of those graduates in attendance, they could have been not received well for a lot of reasons, and not because they're Trump supporters, or not because they don't affiliate with the Democrat Socialist Party, or not because they don't believe in racial politics and distribution of the spoils of war along racial lines. The spoils of politics is what I'm referring to when I say the spoils of war. Because there's a lot of that still goes on. Have you noticed? It's not going away. Now, I think there is increasing pushback. I think there's increasing skepticism in some circles, and that's reflected in the percentage of support that Trump is getting from black voters. Right now, even sort of the lowest number I've seen in recent polling is double what he polled against Biden 4 years ago. So that's a significant move. But I mean, it's also an incremental move. So don't get too overconfident about what's happening culturally. there's this larger fight that extends beyond the November election. I understand that's front and center, as it should be. But there's this larger battle. And when you take a perusal of what's happening around the country, you see that this is very much alive and kicking. Pardon my simple minds. I mean, and we see it, of course, here with the State Reparations Commission and the City Reparations Commission and what Evanston has done. And yes, it's not just here. I mean, you have a Reparations Commission in Boston that has been working in earnest for many months, and they've come up with a number. Just for Boston, $15 billion. Right. Here's Reverend Kevin Edwards, who's the chairman of that commission, the good Reverend Kevin Edwards.
The number, $15 billion awarded to Boston's African-American community, has been part of the discussion, but that is far from done. The head of this commission describes how they came up with that number.
$15 billion, which is not enough. Every life is incalculable. We think about tens of thousands of slaves who died in the midst of slavery in Boston. How do you put a number on that? They died in slavery while their white counterparts flourished.
Mm-hmm. Right. Erie County, Pennsylvania. You know, it's a small, small-ish to mid-sized county, 300,000 people. Not an urban center.
An investment of over $290,000 to BIPOC businesses is being done by Diverse Erie. These businesses range from transportation to child care to housing development.
The small business is the backbone of our economy. We realized that BIPOC businesses were impacted and affected at a higher level than other businesses. So we decided that it would be really to our benefit to help these small businesses not only grow but thrive.
Lee says these grants will help take the small businesses to the next level.
We're hoping that they're going to be able to hire more individuals, increase their revenues, and really stay around in Erie County and help Erie County grow for all people.
Staff of two businesses that we spoke with say they will use these funds towards expansion and improvement.
We've been in business for the last 7 years, and we've been making a lot of improvements, and this is just the beginning of our business. There's a lot of plans in the works, and with this grant, we plan on further.
You know, that's exciting and good for you, but the idea of handing out taxpayer money to businesses based on race is a problem.
Isn't that against the law?
Arguably, yes.
I mean, isn't that illegal?
But you know, but I mean, even like MBE, WBE designations. I mean, all that stuff is, well, first of all, it's replete with corruption. Number one, there's, I mean, so many scams that are run. But number two, it's government in a place it doesn't belong. This is not the way, first of all, right, so across the board, I'm not picking here, across the board, government shouldn't be giving out these. I'm going to give out the grant to this grocery store because it's owned by a black person or an Asian person, and I'm not going to give one to the guy across the street because it's owned by you know, you're one of your typical white ethnics and who are, you know, yesterday's news or whatever. It should be out of that business altogether. And first of all, by the way, most of these businesses who think that the government is there to help, you're going to learn the hard way. You don't want to get into business with the government. Government is your not so silent partner, but that's sort of secondary. The point is that this stuff still goes on, and it's popular because it's seen as, oh, we're using taxpayer dollars to help a struggling business or to incubate businesses for the BIPOC communities and so on and so forth. Just get out of our way, government. Where's that case being made? Unfortunately, by fewer and fewer Republicans, because so many have adopted a friendly posture towards industrial policy, and this is at the local level. It's nothing more than industrial policy at the local level, industrial policy small scale. This is all over the place going on, and it goes on without, you know, much pushback, but it should get pushback. I mean, but the kind of stuff that's said. We played Jamal Bowman yesterday, Firestarter Spice, talking about the federal government using the power of the federal government to incent advised to pressure local school districts to hire more black and brown teachers. Bernie Sanders in a committee hearing last week.
That when black, Latino, and Native American patients have access to black, Latino, and Native American doctors, their health outcomes substantially improve. They're more likely to receive preventative services, they're more satisfied with their care, and they're more likely to live longer and happier lives.
Right, because honky doctors are racist who won't provide preventative care, run all the tests that need to be run if the patient is not a honky. I mean, that's the implicit accusation. Not very subtle. We have a long way to unravel ourselves from all this spoils of war racial politics. And I don't think we're being as aggressive as we could be because we're so, as long as you're moving away from Biden, then we'll go along with anything to get you. And this is a moment where I said you should be moving away from Biden. I'm glad you recognize that both him and maybe you should recognize the larger party have not done a very good job, even as they've spent all this time jawboning how they're the champions for the BIPOC communities, the champions for the downtrodden and the previously discriminated against, emphasize previously. But here's the program. We're not going to run down this identitarian track because we know it's a dead end. And you know it's a dead end, which is why you're leaving, or at least you're moving to neutrality. You're moving away to neutrality and open-mindedness. It's going to be a very short-term sugar high if you don't push this issue. And you just say, as long as they hate Biden because whatever, because he's too supportive of Israel. We heard that yesterday from Philip in Blue Island. Then this is going to be a very fleeting moment, if it becomes a moment at all. A long way to go between now and November still. So this is where you establish your bona fides and your credibility by not being fork-tongued. By saying there's competing visions for how a free society should be organized and how we should deal with the diversity of races and religions and all of the other differences among us. And there's the identitarian way to do it, and then there's the meritocratic way to do it. And those are parallel tracks. They don't intersect. So what's it going to be? Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM 560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Parents, grandparents, you might want to be sitting down because this is amazing news. Imagine the student in your family not asking you for money to pay for college, or better yet, not getting into years and years of debt. How's this possible? Scholarships.com, a trusted and widely used scholarship platform that helps your student find scholarships and navigate the financial aid process. Get help to pay for college through a personalized list of scholarships that your student actually qualifies for. Better yet, every scholarship is vetted to ensure accuracy. And now the best part, drum roll please, it's absolutely free. Go to scholarships.com today. Both students and parents can join for free. And within minutes, receive your list of personalized scholarship matches. Check out the wealth of information and resources available at no cost. And read the fantastic reviews from other scholarship winners. Scholarships.com has helped over 23 million students and families find scholarships to help pay for college. And will help you too. Join scholarships.com today for free. That's scholarships.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Teresa on the Gold Coast here on Chicago's Morning Answer. Hi,
Hey,
Teresa.
good morning, Dan and Amy. Hey, good morning. Well, now I'm going to have George Michael. I'm never going to dance again in my head for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
I don't know where to thank you or curse you on that one. But what I'm looking forward to is the Trump-Biden debate. President Trump is going to rule it. There's no doubt about that. But I think many people who are Democrats are leaning toward Trump, but we'll see what they do when it comes down to voting. I mean, will they just vote for the party and not the man? What are they going to do?
Right. Thanks for the call. No, that's the question, right? Because in some of these swing states where you see Trump opening up leads outside the margin of error, you still see Democrat Senate candidates leading their Republican opponents. So there's definitely some ticket splitting, sort of this mental ticket splitting that's going on right now. We'll see if it's sustained, and we'll see if Biden is sustained too. Those gaffes yesterday are just more of a kind, as we all know.
Let's get ready to bumble!
Let me start off with 2 words. Made in America. I think it's a right for people to have bad health care. America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to put him... And Corn Pop was a bad dude, and he ran a bunch of bad boys. Wait. All men and women created by... Go, you know the thing.
The thing.
It holds near and dear to you that you like to be able to... Anyway. We went for 2 reasons. One, to... True international effort to pressure. When they tried to do it, we went to 54 states. What are you talking about? We choose truth over facts. I've had a couple Washingtons. But the nature, not Representative Jackie, are you here? Where's Jackie? I didn't think she was going to be here.
She's dead.
What am I doing here? Come on, man. Tucker, yeah. Thank you.
Crambone. My favorite is the when he does the 2 things. It's 2 things, and then he just completely loses it, and he does the anyway. the computer shut down. do. That's exactly what happens. We'll see if they get him jacked up enough to make it through those debates. Trump wants drug tests pre-debate.
Yeah, he does.
Let's do pre-fight weigh-in, jawboning, drug test, the whole thing.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 6:36, an economic migrant from the Dominican in this country illegally, she doesn't really like the accommodations we're providing her so much. She liked Manhattan. She doesn't like Rochester, where they moved her. So, maybe we can fly her to Chicago, 6:36.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
62 degrees at 6:32, and Donald Trump's defense team is expected to rest its case today. Trump has said from the start of the trial that he planned to testify, but there's no official word on whether or not he will take the stand. National Security Council spokesman John Kirby says the U.S. had no role in Sunday's helicopter crash that killed the president of Iran.
That said, as we in any other case, we certainly regret in general the loss of life and offered official condolences as appropriate.
John Kirby calling Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi a man with blood on his hands. A group of Tesla investors is urging shareholders to vote against CEO Elon Musk's $56 billion pay package. The group says the package goes against Tesla's interest. Dolly Parton this morning paying tribute to the actor who played her annoying boss in her first movie role. Parton was in that 1980 film 9 to 5 with Dabney Coleman, who died last week at the age of 92. Parton giving tribute to Coleman and his years in the industry. Cleanup underway after a microburst storm struck Chicago's Beverly neighborhood yesterday.
My mom wasn't home. I can't imagine how scary that would have been if she was. You know, the crashing of the glass.
The National Weather Service says for Wisconsin, there's quite an enhanced risk for severe weather. For everyone right at the Illinois border to as far north as Appleton, 2 rounds of storms are expected. An alderman in Waukegan is under fire over a Facebook post. 6th Ward Alderman Keith Turner was called out during last night's city council meeting for posting a photo of a severed arm found this month on the city's lakefront.
We should not be bringing this kind of information out to the community without knowing all of the facts and the family, what they've been going through. We should not have done anything that would add to the grief that they're already experiencing.
Authorities believe the limb belongs to 19-year-old Milwaukee resident Sade Robinson, who was murdered and dismembered in April. Waukegan Mayor Ann Taylor called the image morally disgusting and cruel to the victim's family. Supporters of Turner say it's orchestrated outrage from the team of Mayor Ann Taylor because Turner will be running for mayor himself in 2025.
Everyone around here knows that he's running for mayor in 2025. I really feel like this is a political stunt from the mayor and her team to put this out here to try to, just smear him.
The investigation into the Sade Robinson murder continues. Chicago sports, White Sox lost to Toronto 9-3. Cubs begin a 3-game set with the Braves at Wrigley this evening. Western Conference Finals in the NBA begin on Wednesday when the Timberwolves host Dallas. The news is a service of Del Bacchio Marchetti Group of Properties, Christie's International Real Estate. With over $800 million in sales, you'll get the most value for your home. Call 708-828-0000. And a check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
Dr. Sebastian Gorka sees more frivolous spending.
Any idea how much the Democrats spent on the January 6th committee? Eric, do you remember how long was the January 6th committee? Like a couple of months, maybe?
Give or take, yeah.
Okay. They spent $16 million of our money. $16 million.
America First with Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Being present and in the moment for family activities was impossible because Will Burt was so focused on the constant pain in his leg.
My wife likes to take walks. I always kind of dreaded going on walks because they hurt. The boys both play baseball. I coach their teams. I was going to do them and be in pain and be uncomfortable and kind of sacrifice my own health.
An old Achilles injury left Will coping with agonizing pain until he discovered the natural biologic treatments at QC Kinetics. No surgery or steroids. The procedure took place in the office, and Will walked right out.
I feel great. There's no pain. There's no tenderness.
Patients like Will are feeling amazing and living their best lives.
Ironically, just got off the golf course today, so I think that's a good telltale sign that the Achilles is feeling better.
Don't be in pain another day. Call QC Kinetics for your free consultation. Call QC Kinetics, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
This is my father, Bob.
This is my daughter, Lisa.
And we love Balance of Nature. Don't you?
You think I'm going to say no to her? Balance of Nature is a very good product. It's simple application, a simple thing to take.
It's fruits and veggie in a capsule.
That's it. Balance of Nature has helped me get along very well.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order, plus $10 off any additional sets with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Imagine having an annual deductible of only $240. There are only two good things about aging: wisdom and Medicare. But to navigate the Medicare maze properly, you need a mentor. Best part, my guidance costs you nothing. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Medicare, then you need a local expert on your side, your own health insurance mentor. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 30-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than a decade. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
6:39, 62 degrees right now, partly sunny skies. Let's get an update on the roads in our Team Hochberg Traffic Center. It is a service of Mattress Firm's Memorial Day sale. Get a Sleepy's Queen mattress at the lowest price ever, $89.99. This deal ends Tuesday, so don't wait. Visit Mattress Firm and save over 60%. In-store pickup only while supplies last. Find your nearest one today. Finally, some good news on the outbound Ike. Stop-and-go traffic remains from Central all the way through Des Plaines Avenue, but an accident just after that occurred around midnight. Semi went up an embankment and spilled 40,000 pounds of tires. They've finally gotten most of that out of your way and reopened all lanes on the outbound Eisenhower this morning. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now, your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Variable clouds with some near-record warmth in spots. High 88 today. Cloudy, windy. Chance of a strong thunderstorm overnight with a low of 61. Clouding up right now, 62 at O'Hare. Your next news update is at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So, a couple things on the open borders and illegal migrants front to discuss, particularly in Chicago. So they're running this scam around the country, but that and it necessarily includes Chicago. There was a series of arrests made this week. For a non-immigrant status, there's a provision in federal immigration law that allows for special status for certain crime victims. So what does that incentivize? Well, it incentivizes faking crimes to generate fake victims who can then apply for protected status under the law.
Oh, that's what could go wrong. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636, type in DA, then a quick comment. So it's immigration fraud, right?
Yeah, they're
like there's insurance fraud. We had this homeless person behind our condo on Kenmore back in the day, and I'd always see him with something broken. And I said, what's going on? They said, oh, they smashed my foot, and then I claim I was in a car accident to get the insurance money.
Yeah, similarly, the federal prosecutors announcing charges against 5 people who staged armed robberies so victims could apply for immigration visas reserved for legitimate crime victims. Officials believe hundreds of people, including some who have traveled from out of town, posed as customers in dozens of businesses across Chicago and elsewhere, all hoping to win favorable immigration status by becoming victims of prearranged armed robberies. And by the way, in one of those armed robberies, a guy actually did get shot. So, these are not necessarily the most perfectly staged, but nonetheless. Cops started to get suspicious because there was these, armed robbery crews going through all this trouble that was getting them no cash. Most victims only had a few dollars with them. Stores generally lost less than $100. So why are they going and doing these robberies and not getting any take? Well, because they were scams. And by the way, this has not limited to the city of Chicago. South Holland, Lake Villa, River Grove, Niles, Hickory Hills, St. Charles, Elmwood Park, Lombard. These are all the sites where these dummy armed robberies occurred. Not just a sanctuary city problem. It's a sanctuary region and sanctuary state problem. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line.
And when is enough going to be enough? Please. I mean, outside the Standard Club is still a you-know-what show. Outside of the old British school, people are loitering around. I mean, and our town is dirty. And there's people panhandling everywhere with small kids. Like on the median, it's so dangerous when they have a toddler, at Gulf Road with 2 lanes of traffic coming in both ways at 50 miles per hour. I mean, my God, the kid could jump out in traffic like that.
Well,
where's DCFS? Where is everybody to go? To help the children to save one life.
Well, here again, with the warmer months upon us and the border crossings continuing and the buses continuing, don't think that the suburbs has escaped more associated problems with this. And you see some foreshadowing in states that are similarly disposed politically to Illinois on a smaller scale. I'm talking about Massachusetts, but basically the same dynamics, the same sort of political power structure, the same disposition of a governor who, like J.B. Pritzker, is a lesbian, as well as a big city mayor who's an identitarian hack from Barrington. So there you go. There's the connection. Well, in Norfolk, Massachusetts, the residents are a bit perturbed because they're getting a migrant shelter they didn't want, but Laura Healey wants it there, the governor there, and so they're getting it. Don't think it can't happen here, sleepy suburbanites.
Help our own. Do something to stop it.
A heated meeting in Norfolk packed to capacity with residents voicing their concerns over the state's plan to open a shelter at the former prison.
There is no turning back when this happens. Our schools are overcrowded as it is. We have a budget problem. This isn't a humanitarian question. This is a mathematical question. It cannot happen.
Norfolk town leaders say they met with state leaders Wednesday and learned the state does plan to house about 450 people at the former Bay State Correctional Center. The overflow site is meant to help homeless families with children, many of them migrants who have been sleeping at Logan Airport.
Now we are considering adding additional children onto the plate of our already stretched too thin teachers and expecting it just to work.
The biggest concern is how the schools will handle this influx of children, while a few people said they worry about those new students getting bullied if they're not welcome here.
And as one of the few black families in this town, I feel obligated to ask this question because I don't want these children to be targets.
Public safety is another concern with the sudden increase in population for this tiny town. The Norfolk fire chief says when the shelter opens, he's expecting emergency calls to increase by 5 to 10%, which will impact response times to residents.
I visited the facility on Monday. There were no contractors there. We were told that, barbed wire would be taken down.
State Representative Marcus Vaughn and Norfolk town leaders say they've been left in the dark on this new shelter, but they're hoping to mitigate the impact to this town.
Yeah, I think you can hope. Sure, not much of a strategy. It's getting shoved down their throats. By the way, the whole as one of the few black people in this town of about 11,000 people, I'm concerned that people of color will get bullied. Well, are they getting bullied now? Are you getting bullied? No. By the way, their state representative, who you heard from at the end, is black Republican. Yeah. Right. The state legislator, state senator that represents that town is Democrat. So, I mean, all of this, but you just can't get away from it because people have been so brainwashed in this direction. So many have, at least. But I mean, sleeping at Logan Airport, we don't want them to, and so we're going to set it up. And you don't think that can happen in suburban communities around O'Hare and Midway?
Especially with the DNC coming here. They're trying to kick people out.
Yeah.
To make it look like everything's fine here. It's a clean city. They better start with taking down the encampments that are growing by the dozens from Foster all the way into the city along Lakeshore Drive.
Right. And
it's
give
disgusting. Do you know they built a 2-tent tier and people are having sex in there?
Well, it's the same thing that's happening, not that part, but it's the same thing that's happening in and around New York, which is if we can move them out of Manhattan, then let's do so. So why wouldn't that happen in Chicago? As quietly as possible. Maybe you're going to have some people kick up some dust if you locate a facility that's going to have 450 people, families there, as is happening in Massachusetts. But why not do it? What does Beal and Brandon care? What does Jelly Belly care, for that matter? I mean, what's the political cost of that? The important thing, as you're pointing out, is to make sure the DNC shows off Chicago and it goes off well. The much less important thing is what the hell any suburban residents care about, particularly if it's not a majority-minority community, or if it maybe leans even a little Republican, because that's about all you have left is maybe a couple of towns that lean a little bit Republican. So put it in Wheaton. Do to Wheaton what Massachusetts is doing to Norfolk. Why not? What's to stop them? Except maybe migrants who don't like to be out of the urban center. So, for example, this Dominican migrant, and it's important that she's made her way from the Dominican, and I'm not picking on her, I'm using her as an example. I'm sorry, what is the repression that's going on in the Dominican Republic right now? Are there, I mean, if it, speaking of Chinese migrants, if it was Uyghur Muslims who escaped one of Xi's concentration camps, I would say, yeah, okay, that's a legitimate asylum seeker. It's somebody in the Dominican who wants to come to America for a better life. I can appreciate that, but that is not a legitimate asylum claim.
Yanidi Pena. She was overcome with emotions. She feels the weight of the world on her right now. It took her and her children a month and a half to get from El Salvador to Mexico, where they crossed the country into Texas. They got moved to New York City, and they were in a housing program that sent them here to Rochester. They arrived in January of this year and lived at the Holiday Inn downtown for 4 months, and they were moved here 3 weeks ago.
Muy traumática.
It's very traumatic.
Porque no creí.
She says it's been quite traumatic. Everything that was told to us to come to Monroe County, to Rochester, hasn't been fulfilled.
Do you like America?
Sí. Pero no Rochester.
But not Rochester.
No. No good Rochester.
Do you want to stay in America?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's again, I'm not picking on her, but it's not legitimate. Not to mention Manhattan, Rochester. I mean, it's all on everybody else's dime.
She should be more grateful for what she's received instead of complaining about it.
Well, you can understand when you have politicians running around and saying you're going to get this and I'm going to give you that. And we're going to provide you the work visa, and you're going to be able to have your own plate. I mean, so you have a bunch of politicians running around lying, and
that makes them feel entitled.
And that should, and that should be top of mind to voters. I'm not blaming the migrants who are being lied to and led down primrose paths. I'm blaming the politicians. It'd be nice if you could get some of your neighbors to do the same. Tom in Oswego, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. We live in the leafy suburb of Oswego, and I'll say it, I don't care. And more in the mornings, I leave for work about 4:35. I see along Route 34, this is a busy road. More and more people walking up and I don't know where they're going, bags, shopping carts, a mile away from any shopping store. I don't know where they're going, what they're doing. They're on almost every corner, major intersection now, and I say it's black, white, Hispanic. It doesn't matter. It's just people that are here and don't have the skills to lift themselves up out of the problems that they have. And I think we're only seeing the tip of this. My daughter is a teacher. They can't even have parent-teacher conferences because most of the parents don't speak English. And so they have to try to find a translator to talk with the parents, to talk with the students, or the students talk with the parents to translate for them. It's just a mess. And the politicians know it. This is done intentionally. I think they feel the more chaos they can create, the more power they can absorb. Because when people are driven down to the ground and they have nowhere else to turn to, where do they turn to? They look for somebody to save them, and that's the politician. And they know it. This is happening on purpose. And I just pray every morning that we find a way out of this, because I really fear that we are heading down a dark hole really fast, and people don't see it.
Thanks for the call, Tom. Appreciate it. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
It's what Chicago is talking about. It's Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy on AM 560. The Answer.
Have you been struggling to find an easy, safe, and secure document scanning solution for Salesforce.com, Microsoft 365, SharePoint, or OnBase by Highland? Your struggle is now over, and it's time to get your documents and operations into the 21st century. With IoT Smart Connected Scanning, it's easy to turn physical paper into digital documents and have them directly uploaded to the cloud with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. And you don't need a degree in computing or IT to make it happen. Using QR code technology uniquely configured for your specific business, anyone can set the IoT Smart Connected Scanning device up in 5 minutes or less, saving your organization money and valuable time. Remote employees can even capture documents and send them safely and seamlessly. Organize documents efficiently and securely with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. To see a demo or to order now, go to ready4idt.com. That's ready4idt.com. Use promo code SMART and receive 10% off your order. IDT, putting paper in its place.
In the fast-paced rhythm of life, where demands can be relentless and time is precious, prioritizing your well-being can be hard. Not to worry. Balance of Nature fruits and veggies supplements are convenient and easy to add to any schedule. Paired with eating more fresh produce, regular exercise, and a positive mindset, Balance of Nature fruits and veggies supplements can help you keep your rhythm. Whether it be excelling in your day-to-day or just living in the moment, start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first order as a preferred customer with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
AM 560. The Answer.
That sound means it's time for our weekly installment of In-Depth History with Frank, the history teacher from Arlington Heights, because there's nothing new in this world, just the history we don't know, and Frank does. Frank, take it away.
Good morning. If you travel I-80 west to Des Moines, you cross the Merle Hay Road exit. Evidently, there is a Merle Hay Mall as well. Upon research, I found that he was the first Iowan and possibly the first American who sacrificed his life in World War I. When Merle volunteered for duty in April 1917, he was your typical 20-year-old of the time, taking up the youthful, irreverent activities of roller skating, going to movies, and smoking a pipe. Merle was killed by German artillery fire while on sentry duty near Artois on November 3, 1917. His father said of him after learning of his death, "If it was necessary that he lay down his life for his country, I am proud of the boy. I have another son at home whom I would gladly give up for the same great cause were he old enough." At the top, we had patriots too. General John J. Blackjack Pershing made sure that he was head of the American Expeditionary Force rather than have the troops be mere replacements under French and British command. I wonder, though, will there be this level of loyalty and sacrifice today? Consider that we now live under a pre-Magna Carta reactionary regime that abuses the justice system to make alienable the unalienable rights of its political opponents, while D.C. has become a tractor beam for all manner of obvious bipartisan chicanery. Not exactly inspiring. And those of us who demand reform get smeared, while our rhino friends fail us and admonish us with, "Well, that is not who we are." My retort to all of them is, well, what about what you've become? Is what you've become what Merle Hay died for? Is what you've become the great cause his father was referring to? I don't think so. Hopefully our government gets changed come November, because I'm not sure the junta that runs the second Biden term would elicit sacrifice from much of anyone in a crisis. Rest in peace, Merle Hay.
Very good, Frank, as always. We got to put together a compilation at some point of Frank's in-depth history vignettes. But I love the "this is not who we are" versus "well, what have you become?" Very, very good, as always. Frank, the history teacher from Arlington Heights. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Coming up at 7:07, we turn our attention to the Middle East and the ICC's warrants for Bibi Netanyahu. We'll start there with Steve Bucci from the Heritage Foundation at 7:07.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
A Chicago teen shot and killed on the south side. Storm slammed the Beverly neighborhood yesterday afternoon. A man is stabbed in the West Loop. Female found dead in an alley on the far south side. 3 are hurt in a structure collapse at a McChesney Park construction site. Waukegan Alderman is under fire over a Facebook post. White Sox get crushed by the Blue Jays. Cubs host the Braves. And WIND Chicago News Time is 7 o'clock.
Will the judge clear the courtroom again? I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Robert Costello will take the stand again at the Trump criminal trial in New York, the day after Judge Juan Merchan admonished Michael Cohen's ex-advisor during testimony, stunning the former president.
That was an incredible display. I've never seen anything like it in my life. A tyrant.
He again calls the case a scam, denying falsifying records to keep an alleged affair quiet before the 2016 election.
Eventually, the jury was allowed back into the courtroom and Costello's testimony resumed. He said that Cohen admitted that Trump did not know about the payment to Stormy Daniels, despite Cohen testifying earlier that he has no doubt Trump gave him the final sign-off. The defense will likely rest their case today, and closing arguments are expected to begin next week.
Fox's Brooks Singman, the fundraising numbers are out for April, and the Trump campaign raised $76 million, $25 million more than President Biden, though his campaign says they have more money in the bank than any Democratic candidate at this point in history. Today, President Biden will campaign in Boston after a trip to New Hampshire where...
Less than 2 years after signing the PACT Act, expanding health benefits for veterans exposed to toxins, President Biden will announce more than 1 million claims have been approved.
Fox's Jared Halpert at the White House at a Jewish heritage event. President Biden defended Israel, condemning an international criminal court prosecutor seeking arrest warrants for Israeli and Hamas leaders, accusing both sides of war crimes in Gaza.
We want Hamas defeated. We'll work with Israel to make that happen.
A flight of fright after a Singapore Airlines plane took off from London and was diverted to Bangkok. After turbulence so severe, one person on board was killed, others injured.
Data suggests the aircraft dropped 6,000 feet in around 3 minutes. The airline says it's working with authorities in Thailand to provide medical assistance. Video shows a line of ambulances streaming to the aircraft and transferring passengers off the runway. Singapore Airlines also sending its deepest condolences to the family of the deceased.
That's Jonathan Savage. America's listening to Fox News.
62 degrees. For the moment, we still have partly sunny skies in Chicago at 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer, and good morning. I'm Mike Scott. An investigation is underway after a teen was shot and killed on Chicago's South Side. That 17-year-old was inside of a home when the shooting happened yesterday in the 7100 block of South Winchester Avenue. Teen suffered a gunshot wound to the head, and a handgun was recovered from the scene. A man is hurt following a stabbing in the West Loop. Police say the victim was stabbed last night during an altercation with another male. The victim rushed to the hospital in critical condition. Cleanup underway after storm slammed Chicago's Beverly neighborhood. Dozens of trees are down. One fell on a home near 103rd and Campbell. Northwestern University facing a class action lawsuit over alleged anti-Semitism on campus.
The university has an obligation under its own policies as well as the Civil Rights Act to ensure that the First Amendment of these students does not overtake the university's obligation to ensure that Jewish students have a safe environment.
Jonathan Lindenfeld is the attorney for the student who filed that lawsuit. The Illinois Legislative Audit Commission is looking to get to the bottom of a recent shakeup at the Illinois Emergency Management Agency. It stems from overbilling taxpayers to the tune of $250,000. Here's AM 560's Greg Bishop.
In October, the Chicago Sun-Times revealed an assistant to the Illinois Emergency Management Agency director quit after it was revealed that Illinois taxpayers paid over $240,000 for her salary in just 7 months, double the salary for the IEMA director. State Senator Chapin Rose said the Pritzker administration hasn't been transparent about the situation.
You then had several employees who were terminated in the wake of it, and then no questions answered. So it just got red flags all over it.
Monday, the bipartisan LAC approved Rose's resolution for an audit at the Capitol in Springfield. I'm Greg Bishop.
It's unclear how long such an audit will take. White Sox lost to Toronto 9-3. Cubs take on the Braves. Northwestern is headed to their 5th consecutive Final Four in women's lacrosse. The 17-2 Cats will play Friday afternoon against upset-minded Florida. The news, a service of the Del Bacchio Marchetti Group of Ad Properties, Christie's International Real Estate, experts in the northwest suburbs and Chicago. Call 708-828-0000. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Charlie Kirk sees too much agreement in D.C.
They might shout at each other over abortion. They might shout at each other over guns. But that's all theatrics. When it comes down to what really matters, protecting big corporations, keeping our borders wide open, and relentlessly invading foreign countries and funding wars that have nothing to do with us, D.C. finds harmony.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Sebastian Gorka at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
At Signature Bank, going the distance for business banking customers is what we do every day. We understand that business owners have a strategic mission, a drive to succeed, a plan for growth, and don't have time to wait for a bank to respond. With Signature Bank, you not only have a banking partner that has roots right here in Chicago, but our decisions are made locally too. Signature Bank knows that when you have a question or problem about your business, you want answers. You need someone who will pick up the phone or respond to your text. You need someone who is always there for you. That's Signature Bank. We are a team that wants to get to know you and your business. Want to be Signature Bank's next success story? Give us a call today at 773-467-5630 or visit us online at signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for less. And for a limited time, new customers receive their second month free when they sign up and use promo code MONTHFREE by May 31st. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
All right, who's there for heroes or their families left behind when a service member or a first responder dies or is catastrophically injured in the line of duty? Who helps our country's homeless vets? I'll tell you who. It's the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Never forget the sacrifices of our country's greatest heroes. They're hoping all of us will donate $11 a month. Just go to their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org, the letter T, number 2, letter T.org for the Tunnel to Towers Foundation.
In the fast-paced rhythm of life, where demands can be relentless and time is precious, prioritizing your well-being can be hard. Not to worry. Balance of Nature fruits and veggies supplements are convenient and easy to add to any schedule. Paired with eating more fresh produce, regular exercise, and a positive mindset, Balance of Nature fruits and veggies supplements can help you keep your rhythm. Whether it be excelling in your day-to-day or just living in the moment, start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first order as a preferred customer with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
7:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And this update is a service of scholarships.com. Imagine the news that your college student doesn't have years and years of school debt. It's avoidable when you join scholarships.com free. That's scholarships.com. Kennedy inbound right now at 76. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike and Hour 5 inbound from 390 to the old post office. Outbound at St. Charles on the Ike, a disabled vehicle blocking a left-hand lane. And the Dan Ryan is at 37 and climbing 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
For today, variable cloudiness and look for a daytime high of 88. It'll be windy. Clouds and windy tonight. Strong thunderstorm until after midnight. Downpours, hail, damaging wind, isolated tornado possible, low 61. Partly sunny, nice day tomorrow, the high 75. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Mostly cloudy, 62. Next news, 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Let's start with Ukraine. Victoria Nuland, who has been a career State Department fixture, and I would say part of the uniparty, the Unawar party inside the Beltway that is spoken about more often these days. I guess sort of an updated characterization of what Dwight D. Eisenhower called the military-industrial complex. Well, she's banging the drums of escalation in Eastern Europe, arguing on This Week with Martha Raddatz that we should be doing more in Ukraine now, and we should green light Ukraine hitting bases inside Russian territory, right in proper Russian territory. Take a listen.
I think they can certainly turn this around, Martha, but the 6-month delay certainly made a difference. The front line for Ukraine needs the artillery that we are sending. They need more air defenses. They need to be able to stop these Russian attacks that are coming from bases inside Russia. So I think there's also a question of whether we, the United States and our allies, ought to give them more help in hitting Russian bases, which heretofore we've not been willing to do.
And do you think they should?
I think if the attacks are coming directly from over the line in Russia, that those bases ought to be fair game, whether they are where missiles are being launched from or where they are where troops are being supplied from. I think it's time for that because Russia has obviously escalated this war, including, as you said at the beginning, attacking Russia's second city, Kharkiv, which is not on the front lines, and trying to decimate it without ever having to put a boot on the ground. So I think it is time to give the Ukrainians more help hitting these bases inside Russia.
New York Times reporting in addition to that, as Russia advances, NATO considers sending trainers into Ukraine. Despite the Biden administration continuing to say there'll be no American troops on the ground. Oh, well, then we'll call them troops. They'll call them trainers. You just manipulate the language a little bit to do an end run around whatever your alleged promise was or your red line was. Where are we with that? And the implications of Victoria Nuland, who, by the way, was the political attaché to animatronic Anthony Blinken in this administration, among many other posts she's held over the years. Has she ever been right? Robert Gates famously said, you can't think of a foreign policy issue on which Biden's been right over the last 50 years. I can't think of one Victoria Nuland's been right about in the last 20. Maybe our friend Stephen Bucci has a better memory than I do. Stephen Bucci served America for 3 decades in the Pentagon. As an Army Special Forces officer and then in the Pentagon. He's a visiting fellow in the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies. Stephen Bucci, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
It's always my pleasure. Thank you for having me on the show.
So, your reaction to Victoria Nuland's recommendation?
I think she's a little over the top here. Victoria Nuland is not one of my favorite people in the State Department. I'm with you. Her judgment has been manifestly poor in the past, and I think she's either getting out ahead of her boss quite a bit, or maybe the boss is saying, hey, Tory, go out and say this, and this, and see what happens. See what the response is. I'm not sure which of those it is. She tends to say what she believes, even if it's wrong, and so it could just be her operating independently, or this could be the proverbial, flagpole being run up or flag being run up the pole to see who salutes. But I think this is a step way too far. I don't think we want to encourage Ukraine to widen the war. I thought that the goal of all this was to try and get it calmed down and get Russia to back off, not to provoke Russia to do more. So I think, bottom line, in my opinion, she's wrong.
On the Middle Eastern front, I mean, that display at the UN Security Council, the moment of silence for the death of Iranian President Raisi, and our Deputy Ambassador to the UN, Robert Wood, standing in silence to mourn the loss of this butcher that's part of a radical Islamist theocracy that is the lead state sponsor of terrorism in the world, as we all understand. These pro forma symbolic acts really, to me, speak to a weakness. And it also speaks to the farce that is this community of nations that is spoken about so often and is one of those meaningless phrases that career diplomats and politicians throw around. I was disgusted at the display. I'm also disgusted at the statement by Matthew Miller from the State Department about the condolences for the. Why? Why are we sending condolences? Because Iran is our nascent partner in peace in the Middle East. I mean, who the hell do they think they're kidding? I'm talking about the Biden administration.
You're absolutely right. This is another step in the policy program that was begun under Obama, obviously put on the shelf during the Trump administration, and then taken back out immediately when Biden came to office, of trying to somehow convince themselves that Iran is a useful partner in the Middle East. And, I'm not sure. I know there are a couple of people in the Biden administration who are ardent supporters of Iran and vehement enemies of any of the various Sunni powers in the Middle East, who are, frankly, none of whom are perfect, but are, at least have from time to time been useful partners for us, as opposed to an outright adversary. But that's the only justification for doing what they did. Playing along with these worthless symbols. Look, everybody knows that this guy was the butcher of Tehran. He is hated definitely by the expatriate Iranian community, but by massive numbers of people inside Iran who lost daughters, who lost sons, who were beaten by the police, all at the behest of Raisi. He's a bad guy, and the world is a better place that he's gone, and the foreign minister wasn't any better.
Was this crash an accident, or was he targeted?
It looks on its face, we still need to dig in a little harder, and hopefully our folks are. But it looks like it's more than likely it was an accident. Very, very old helicopter given to the Iranians during the Shah period. They fix stuff as they can where they can, get parts in there. We haven't sold them any parts, but that helicopter is probably as old as you two. And it's that's pretty long in the tooth for an aircraft flying around mountains in bad fog. So I think the combination of the bad helicopter, don't know the quality of the pilot's training, but the weather, I wouldn't want to fly with some of our best pilots in weather like that. It was crazy, and I'll be willing to bet it came down to the pilot told the president, "Hey, Mr. President, we can't fly. We'll have to take you down the mountain, by vehicle." And he said, "I'm the president of the country. You fly this aircraft, and we'll be protected by Allah." And you know what? He wasn't, and the aircraft crashed. And they'll probably blame the pilot, and he was probably the first one who tried to wave him off.
Somebody joked online that the helicopter was taken down by a Mossad agent named Eli Copter. And that
what?
and that actually got picked up. This is sort of like something wrong, and it actually got picked up and was being pushed through like Hamas channels on Telegram and so on and so forth. They're actually trying to push that as propaganda. That is, it's Israel's fault. Helicopter, special agent.
I saw that as well. It's just this
That's
is
awesome.
Like when they announced Kim Jong-un had been chosen as the sexiest man in the world, and the North
and they put a release out.
All picked up on it and believed it. It's like, oh my God, get them a subscription to the Babylon Bee.
Right, and it also speaks to I can't believe we're losing to these guys. But anyway, the other matter to tackle, and we talked about this a couple weeks ago, and there were op-eds in the Wall Street Journal. Where is the Biden administration? Where is the West sending the message to the International Criminal Court? Don't even think about it. And all the Biden administration could muster was to send Jake from State Department out to say we don't see any evidence of genocide and continue their middling rhetoric and calls for ceasefire. And now the ICC, former employer of one Jack Smith, by the way, federal prosecutor in the Trump cases in D.C., but now they're seeking arrest warrants they're seeking to arrest Bibi Netanyahu and other senior Israeli military officials for war crimes. Because America can't step up and tell them, don't even think about it. The UN is morally bankrupt. The ICC is morally bankrupt. What are we doing with these quote unquote international, organizations and forums where the community of nations could come together and stroke each other?
Well, this is, the height of hypocrisy when some people allude to a moral equivalence between what the Hamas terrorists did on October 7th and what Israel has done as a responsible nation protecting its people. But these guys now, they have drawn a legal basis for that. They have handed that to Hamas, saying, oh, no, these guys are totally equal in this conflict, and they all should be treated exactly the same way. That is giving Hamas such an endorsement and such a victory. It's crazy. And you're right. The U.S. should have squashed this. The U.S. should have vilified it before it ever was announced and completely stripped it of any sort of legitimacy. Instead, we wring our hands and clutch our pearls and swoon and say, oh, this is terrible. But they don't do anything about it. So it's kind of, again, it's typical Biden administration, particularly with the State Department, weak sauce, which just makes our adversaries laugh at us.
And I don't know which is more morbidly comical, the helicopter piece or George Clooney's wife being somehow instrumental through the Clooney Foundation for Justice. I mean, that's satirical. I wish that was satirical, but it's not. That she was instrumental in getting charges brought against by the ICC against Israel as well as some Hamas leaders.
Yeah, I saw a report this morning, and she, to her credit, said, "Look, I was just part of the committee that advised the court on the status under international law." But so she's not claiming that she was the key to the whole thing. She was just part of it. But leave it to our press, because now they've got a celebrity hook to it. So that's going to get all the focus and will give it legitimacy in the eyes of a lot of people who watch the old legacy media outlets.
Right. Yeah. I mean, of course. I mean, who would question the legal judgment of Amal Clooney? I mean, good grief. So the actual prosecution of the war itself against Hamas and this dithering by the Biden administration with respect to military aid to Israel and Bibi moving forward. I assume this is just going to be treated as white noise by the Israelis, and they're going to continue to march forward. But where does that stand as you understand it?
Well, Israel has said, we appreciate your interest in our security, but your opinions are not that relevant to us. They said that to the Biden administration. They've said it to the rest of the world. They have made their decision about going forward. There is one domestic, hang up there where the one minister said, "Look, you need to come up with a plan for what we're going to do with this chunk of land and all these people once we get rid of Hamas." They had a plan where they were going to turn it over to an international coalition of forces, preferably Muslim forces, to try and run it. But none of those countries have said that they would do that. So Israel is in kind of a fix here that once they get rid of Hamas, somebody needs to administer Gaza. Israel doesn't want to do it, contrary to all the idiots who say this is a colonizing action. That's just total nonsense. But they do have to get somebody to volunteer all of these virtue signaling organizations and countries to say, okay, we'll come in and help. But none of them have been willing to do that so far.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's interesting, the commentary. None of them have been willing to provide sanctuary to any of the Palestinian refugees, and none of them want to get involved in the governance of Gaza. What does that tell you about the population? I'm just saying.
It's that none of those people want to deal with them, and they darn sure don't want them inside their own borders.
Stephen Bucci served America for 3 decades as Army Special Forces officer and top Pentagon official, visiting fellow at the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies now. Stephen Bucci, thank you as always. Appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me on the show, and we'll talk to you next week.
Yep, thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
This is Ed Morrissey of HotAir.com for Town Hall. If it seems perverse that the ICC would target the victim nation of an invasion by a terror network that perpetrated the worst organized atrocities in decades, then you're just paying attention. But it gets worse than that, as prosecutor Karim Khan's demand actually validates Hamas's human shield strategies. To claim that Israel is responsible for civilian deaths in Gaza rather than the terror network committing the actual war crime of staging military and terror operations in civilian areas is a grotesque moral inversion. This validates terrorism and Hamas's human shield strategies, making it impossible to ever fight and defeat terror networks that attack established states. The ICC waited over 7 months after October 7 to take any action against Hamas leadership, despite the obvious evidence of atrocities. Now they want to make a moral equivalence between genocidal terrorism and legitimate armed defense. It's patently outrageous and does nothing but incentivize terror attacks on civilized nations.
Okay, this season, don't get tripped up by uneven concrete around your home. Whether it's a sunken or cracked sidewalk, porch, stoop, driveway, or patio, these problems will only get worse, but there is an easy solution. Call Permaseal today, 800-421-7325, and ask for a free inspection. Their poly-level service can raise and level sunken concrete quickly and effectively, putting an end to eyesores and dangerous trip hazards. Poly-level is the quickest, least expensive, and most durable system to repair your sunken concrete problems. Don't live with a potentially dangerous situation. Call Permaseal today for a free inspection. They have financing programs that allow you to have the work done now and pay for it in 18 months without interest. Permaseal has been a trusted name for over 40 years and has an A+ rating with the BBB. Don't be scared of replacing your sunken or broken concrete. Raise it. 800-421-SEAL, 800-421-7325, or visit permaseal.net. That's 800-421-7325, or visit permaseal.net.
Parents, grandparents, you might want to be sitting down because this is amazing news. Imagine the student in your family not asking you for money to pay for college, or better yet, not getting into years and years of debt. How's this possible? Scholarships.com, a trusted and widely used scholarship platform that helps your student find scholarships and navigate the financial aid process. Get help to pay for college through a personalized list of scholarships that your student actually qualifies for. Better yet, every scholarship is vetted to ensure accuracy. And now the best part, drum roll please, it's absolutely free. Go to scholarships.com today. Both students and parents can join for free. And within minutes, receive your list of personalized scholarship matches. Check out the wealth of information and resources available at no cost. And read the fantastic reviews from other scholarship winners. Scholarships.com has helped over 23 million students and families find scholarships to help pay for college. And will help you too. Join scholarships.com today for free. That's scholarships.com.
It's almost time once again for the annual AM 560 Golf Outing presented by Signature Bank. And this year, AM 560 is proud to partner with the Tunnel to Towers Foundation to help them support America's first responders and military heroes, including homeless veterans, and to help America never forget 9/11. This year, our golf outing is happening on Wednesday, June 19th at McRae Memorial Golf Club in Barrington. When you purchase a foursome to join us, you'll enjoy a full day of golf, meals, an awards reception, and a silent auction. And if you're a business owner, when you purchase a foursome, you'll also receive an AM 560 marketing package, which includes 25 one-minute commercials between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m. and a free digital marketing analysis. And we also have twosomes available in addition to foursomes. Reserve your foursome today at 560theanswer.com/golf. That's 560theanswer.com/golf. Sponsored in part by Control Point Engineering, Waukegan Roofing, and by Crosscom Public Adjusters.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Frank Vance, co-owner of Egan Vance Insurance Agency on Chicago's Northwest Side and a customer of Signature Bank. In my line of work, we pride ourselves on being there for our clients when they need it the most, and we recognize when someone does the same for us. As Egan Vance was expanding, we wanted to buy a much sought-after building in the neighborhood. We couldn't waste any time. I called Signature Bank, and that was all it took. I didn't have to talk to multiple people in siloed departments with multiple forms to fill out. One call did it all. As the one who was always looking out for my clients, it was a great change to know that my bank, Signature Bank, was looking out for me.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 7:37, we've got Ted Dabrowski, president of WirePoints.org, all things Illinois policy related.
And Scotty Scheffler's arraignment has been postponed. We'll tell you why, but now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
A Singapore Airlines flight has made an emergency landing. 63 degrees in Chicago. At 7:33, that flight left today traveling from London to Singapore with 211 passengers and 18 crew on board. That airline's flight made an emergency landing in Bangkok, Thailand, following severe turbulence that left one person dead and 30 injured, according to the airline. Singapore Airlines later said in a statement the plane encountered severe turbulence en route before diverting back to Bangkok. President Biden continuing to push for a bipartisan border security bill in the Senate. Biden meeting with Speaker Mike Johnson and Leader Mitch McConnell on Monday. Jessica Vaughn with the Center for Immigration Studies says Democrats are putting forward a flawed bill.
They want to convince people that they are trying to fix it, even though this bill would not have fixed it. It would only have made things worse.
The legislation has backing from the White House this morning. Prosecution resting its case in former President Trump's hush money trial. Fox's Nate Foy is at the New York State Supreme Court.
After testimony from key witnesses Michael Cohen and Bob dismissed this case, arguing that prosecutors did not prove that Trump falsified business records or did anything illegal to influence the 2016 presidential election. Now, the judge reserved his decision, but Trump did not hold back while leaving court.
Hopefully the motion to dismiss this trial will go through, because this trial is a disaster for our country.
Trump posted on Truth Social, quote, "The judge wouldn't allow our expert to testify. Has anything like this ever happened before? Election interference."
7:34 on AM 560, The Answer. We're seeing this morning a developing story in Washington where Martin Gruenberg, head of the FDIC, is now announcing he will step down. Follows a scathing independent investigation detailing pervasive sexual harassment, discrimination, and bullying at the agency charged with regulating the banking sector. Cleanup is underway after a storm struck Chicago's South Side in the Beverly neighborhood.
My mom wasn't home. I can't imagine how scary that would have been if she was. The crashing of the glass.
19th Ward Alderman Matt O'Shea says dozens of trees came down. National Weather Service says Wisconsin is in the crosshairs for an enhanced risk of severe weather today from the Illinois border to as far north as Appleton. 2 rounds of storms are expected. A few students at the School of the Art Institute of Chicago are protesting the ongoing Hamas-Israel war. Some students protested during commencement yesterday. And pretrial release is denied for a man accused of killing a Joliet bartender in 2017. Jeremy Boshears is awaiting a second trial in the murder of Katie Kearns. White Sox lost to Toronto. Cubs take on the Braves. And the news is a service of Valdecas Windows for the discerning homeowner looking for high-quality, professional-level window replacement service. Contact Valdecas. Valdecas Windows, your award-winning Platinum Elite Pella certified contractor. Visit Valdecas.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager isn't sure how people vote Democrat.
Has the left given us a non-binary term for mother? My parent, I guess that's it. They're against mother and father. I have read that to you on a number of occasions. And people still vote Democrat. The tragedy is that if the country is destroyed from within, a vast number of good people are going to be hurt.
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Charlie Kirk at 1 on AM 560. The Answer.
It's Reveille. Columbia University has been in the news a lot lately, most recently for canceling their graduation ceremony, fearing disruption by pro-Hamas activists they've been unable to manage in the past. At the Duke University graduation ceremony, pro-Gaza students made a spectacle of themselves when they walked out during the introduction of comedian Jerry Seinfeld, who gave the commencement address and who has been open about his support of Israel. The University of Southern California hosted a scaled-down graduation after canceling the 2024 valedictorian speech due to her pro-Palestinian social media posts. But no other commencement speech so far this year has garnered as much attention and controversy as the speech Kansas City Chiefs kicker Harrison Butker gave to the graduating class at Benedictine College, a very small, very Catholic institution. With his speech, Butker has fully stepped into the culture war going on in America. For a 28-year-old football star, the speech was bold, and he likely knew that to some folks, it would be misinterpreted and taken out of context. For his audience, though, Catholic men and women at a college where going to daily mass and daily confession are commonplace, his speech was affirmation that you can be a young Super Bowl champion and still live a life of faith. Harrison Butker, Riley Gaines, the North Carolina frat boys, and others in Gen Z are taking stands thought impossible just a few years ago. If sales of Butker's number 7 jersey are any indication of support for his remarks, then it is clear that the pendulum is swinging back when it comes to culture and traditional beliefs about sex, family, and patriotism. It's about time. I'm Jeannie Ives. To learn more, listen to my radio show on Sunday from 7 to 9 p.m. on this station and sign up for my newsletter at breakthrough-ideas.com.
Admit it, this is the worst time of year to be suffering with joint pain. You can't enjoy outdoors like you used to. Hi, Amy Jacobson here, and if you're tired of achy joints, contact my friends at QC Kinetics before you agree to surgery, steroids, or medications. That's what tens of thousands of real-life patients around the country did, like Robert. Robert's a retired Marine and business owner. Robert had debilitating shoulder pain and couldn't take time away from work to have surgery. So he heard about QC Kinetics and how elite athletes were using these treatments for joint pain. Now Robert feels much better thanks to his treatments at QC Kinetics. And you know what? I'd love to talk about your success story next. So don't wait. Call QC Kinetics today. The consultation's free with Saturday appointments available. Call 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. Again, 312-809-5955.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
740 on AM 560, The Answer. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of scholarships.com. Imagine the news that your college student doesn't have years and years of school debt. It's avoidable when you join scholarships.com. Free to find accurate and vetted scholarships, scholarships.com. Bloomingdale, an accident. Army Trail and Glen Ellen Road. Hinsdale, Lincoln, and Hickory, report of an accident. Willow Springs, Archer, and Willow Springs Road, report of an accident. Heavies all over the place on the expressways. We'll give you a few numbers. Traveling on the Dan Ryan coming inbound right now. 42 and climbing, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Stevenson, an accident, left lane blocked. It's on the outbound side between LaGrange Road and Cass. Inbound Stevenson, an hour 7 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Right now we're seeing variable clouds with a warm afternoon expected. High 88 that builds towards strong thunderstorms overnight. A low of 61. 63 right now. Your next news update is at 8. And Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Insert Democrat socialist here.
Runs the Democratic House for 30 plus years running. He's promising this and he's stealing that. Where can you get that kind of money? He's using your house like his own piggy bank. You ought to know by now. You can pay off your house here in Illinois, but you can never keep up with the taxes. Oh, how it's always been the plan to have a taxpayer pay, no doubt. Not a matter of if anymore, but when. You're moving out. I said, when you're moving out.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. That theme music means it's time for our weekly confab with Ted Dabrowski, president of WirePoints, wirepoints.org, all things Illinois policy related. And speaking of moving out, new census data in, and 75% of Illinois communities lost population in 2023. From July of 2022 to July of 2023, 3/4 of Illinois villages and cities lost population, the biggest loser being the city of Chicago.
Now, you know what that
in aggregate numbers.
Yes, excuse me for interrupting. That makes Governor Pritzker a population denier.
Yes.
Because he thinks,
is a
like, no, I don't,
population
we're gaining residents. We're gaining businesses. There's nothing wrong here, even though we lost a congressional seat. But all right. I wonder how he'll react to that. 75%, wow.
Again, he knows he's lying. He just doesn't care because he can get away with it. Because, I don't know.
The press lets him get away with it.
Well, I mean,
not
certainly, but the residents, they're too busy to pay much attention or too indifferent to care, or they're liars too. I don't know, or some combination of those choices. Ted, thanks for joining us as always. Appreciate it.
Good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy. Yeah,
Same
I think the other
same old
scenario
story. 15 years running, right, Ted?
Yeah, same old story. The news will probably be, hey, the outflow is a lot slower than it has been. It's only 8,000 people we lost in the last year, so that's not a big deal. But it's on top of 30,000 the year before and the 30,000 the year before. And I think what really stands out is that when you take Chicago, for example, only two cities lost more people, and that was Philadelphia and New York City. So there's something in that statistic that tells you something's not right. And when you combine that with the previous years, and then of course with the policy things we talk about all the time, the trend is bad, and it keeps adding up.
With apologies to Ben Folds 5, J.B. Pritzker's a brick, and we're drowning slowly. So that's good news. The pace of our demise is slowing temporarily. Not that you can put too much emphasis on these year-over-year numbers, but certainly after 15 years of consistent population loss, you start to pick up a certain pattern, right?
Well, yeah, and I think Amy kind of hit it. One quick way to measure relative population change. We could debate a lot of things, but if you look at representation in Congress, right, we used to have either 26 or 27 down to 17. So that could be the good news, that if Illinois is going to keep perpetuating these horrible policies, at least the state has weaker power to push that at the national level. But of course, that's not what we want, right? We'd want a vibrant, successful Illinois that's growing in influence, but only because it promotes the good free market and constitutional principles, not because of what it does now.
Gary Rabine posted on Facebook. He had a big office building, and I think it's Schaumburg. The price to build our office building today is $40 million, just sold for $1.7. Less than 5% of its building costs. Over 80% less than most markets in the world. In no other state in America has any group of politicians ruined property values like this. $40 million to build, sold for $1.7 in bustling Schaumburg. Should be a corporate center, right? Corporate HQ center along the Kennedy there. Well, no, I mean obviously out the Western Burbs off the 355. But the point is that this is one of the suburban hubs of business, just like the I-88 corridor out in the western suburbs. These corridors where we're going to have corporate campuses, and they're magnets, and businesses are coming, as Amy just said. Pritzker businesses are coming, and we're locating them, and I don't know. This is just one office building in Schaumburg, but it is yet another cautionary tale.
Yeah, and they just came out with new numbers for downtown vacancy rates in Chicago, and we just hit a record vacancy rate. It's jumped to 25%, so that's a new record high. And the numbers before COVID were at 13%, so you've effectively doubled your vacancy rate. And I think things are you're seeing that in real estate prices, and it's going to keep showing up eventually in property taxes, because these big buildings are not going to pay the same amount of property taxes as they did before, because they're going to be close to half empty, many of them. And of course, the budgets for cities are not going to be cut. So guess what? They're going to pass along that tax levy to guess who? Homeowners. And so that's the next big thing to happen, I think.
Well, they say CTA ridership is now at what it used to be pre-COVID levels. That only took 4 years, but that could just be more beautiful lies.
Yeah, that could be. I mean, certainly the one that matters more is the Metro, and that's still down. And that's the one where you have people coming into work and people coming in to spend, and that's still way down. And that's part of that whole increase in vacancy rates. People aren't coming in, and that's, again, we're going to pay the price for that.
I'm so glad you brought this up because.
Give me that cheddar, we getting Rico. Big money and rolls like burritos. Give me that hot sauce, no pico. Give me that, give me that. Give me my slippers, con mimosa. My limousine and my chauffeur. So don't know Vias, no esposa. Give me that, give me that.
Because BLM Brandon has a Gimme Dat enterprise solution for that office space issue you were addressing, and that's, of course, to convert these semi-vacant or vacant office spaces in places like the financial district into government housing. And he's moving authorization for the bonding authority to do just that. So there you go. There you've identified a problem, but BLM Brandon is ahead of you because he's already working on the solution.
Yeah, he's on top of it, and that was interesting. I think we touched on it last week, but I'd say that he probably said it's twice his biggest accomplishment since he's been in office is to borrow $1.25 billion.
It is a great accomplishment.
Borrowing is, it's a big one, and of course he wants to use that to build and spend on homelessness and creating housing, affordable housing. And I can't. I'm not a real estate expert by any means, but I just can't think of putting in affordable housing in what was a great financial district and thinking that's going to turn out well. I don't feel it.
Well, Steve Malanga over at the City Journal wrote about this essentially. He notes that a recent GAO, Government Accountability Office report, examined the performance of the Federal Housing Trust Fund, which subsidizes affordable housing plans. It's the same thing that BLM Brandon plans to do at the state and local level. Since 2015, the fund received some $3 billion for housing projects. As of March of 22, because you know how well the government does, how timely is their reporting, $3 billion in 2015. 7 years later, developers had finished just under 2,200 units nationally. The program only turns out about 400 or so units quarterly. Construction costs average as much as $360,000 per unit in California, $340 in New York, $314 in Massachusetts. In point of fact, the GAO report understates the problem where it's most acute. Some affordable housing projects, quote unquote affordable housing, like you hear bandied about all the time here, including with some suburban plague of women voters types. The projects scale as much as high as $1 million per unit in California. That's what they call affordable housing. It's affordable because we collectively are going to spend this much to house this many people, but the economics aren't great. And so the pace of this public-private partnership with developers and government financiers goes at a snail's pace.
Yeah, my colleague Mark Glennon wrote something about that and some of these affordable housing units, and how I can't recall the precise numbers, but they were in the $600,000 per unit. And so again, it's just another bastardized approach to this, and instead of having affordable housing and proper zoning, allowing housing to be built, we've got the bureaucrats deciding what's going to happen, and that's of course the worst news. I think you were talking about this earlier in your show today, Dan, about get out of the way, let government get out of the way. It's interesting. I want to point out this thing that the Illinois Municipal League has pointed out all these. I think it's like 155 laws that are introduced or considered. They're all state mandates telling local governments what to do, and all of them are unfunded. And so this kind of ties into this. One of the big things we're going to have to fix one day when we fix Illinois is unwind all these state powers and mandates that really destroy cities' ability to thrive on their own, even if they wanted to. The whole concept of local control is absolutely gone.
Well, that's right.
It's so crazy. But it's so crazy, Dan. Listen to this. They want to introduce a new property tax commission to talk about lowering property taxes again, even though the one from 3 or 4 years ago totally failed.
But they learn all the wrong lessons. So the story is not relax the mandates, roll back the mandates, like you're saying. The story is give us more money. I mean, so it's just the plantation politics, and the feudal lords at the local level are just asking for more tribute from the feudal king, basically. But that just perpetuates the problem. It doesn't address it, and these mayors don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a perfect example. Pritzker, and all the stupid politics that went on with that, with lowering the grocery tax, right? So there's no way to actually lower the cost for people, because the cities are turning around saying, well, we want to raise our own taxes so we can make up the difference. And so it's like you said, it's the whole thing is bastardized.
I wanted to ask you about the latest article about the school report cards, and you pointed out Mather High School, and tell us the graduation rate compared to what the reading rate is and the math proficiency rate.
Yeah, I mean, this is I think for us a big deal, because I know some people would love for us to stop talking about schools, but we put out our new version of report cards. What we did is we do a report card for every school and for every district in Illinois, and we have it up on our website. And basically, it's around the Kids Can't Read campaign. But what we do there is lay out what the reading results are and stuff like that, and it's crazy. So Mather's on the west side there, or the northwest side, and it's the school that kids are sent to if they can't get into some of the better schools. That's where they end up. So it's got 1,600 enrollment, but only 15% of the kids there can read at grade level, and only 14% can do math, and yet they graduate 83%.
Of course.
Yeah,
it's like,
so
with these numbers, it's not unbelievable. It would be unbelievable if there's any difference. These are the same. It's like talking about the Exodus. I can't believe this is we're still singing Exodus. Oh, you were 15 years and you're still surprised? When have we talked about CPS and said 80% reading or doing math at grade level? Never. We've talked a lot. We've talked We've talked year after year about 6%, 10%, 15%, 20%. I can't believe what's going on at CPS. What are you talking about?
Yeah, no, exactly. It's the same old thing. I think what's interesting though is that you're starting to see, and I think thanks to some of the work we've done and you for covering this, both of you guys for covering this, is that you're starting to see the numbers pop out more and more in the Sun Times. There's a poll there about that. So
yeah, too bad nobody reads the Sun Times can read them.
Yeah, that's true. But I think we have to see whether the pressure keeps going. Now, you did say we never talk about high performance. Actually, we have one time, right, and that's the Northside College Prep.
Well,
where,
I'm talking system-wide.
Kids can read. Right? No. But I was going to say, but that's the one that they want to close down, right? That's the craziness of it.
Well, right, because there's equality and misery. I mean, that's the prescription. Yeah.
Well, not only that, but it screws up their whole narrative of racism and white supremacy and all that. Here you got blacks and Hispanic kids competing right there with the whites and the Asians. I mean, it's high performance, and that screws up Brandon Johnson's narrative and Stacey Davis Gates' narrative that whites are whatever.
Of course it does. Of course it does. It also because that's the same reason they had to kill the scholarship program, because if kids can get out and go to Chicago Hope Academy, then you're going to see you're going to see a 180 from these kids that may be languishing in one of these government warehouses that they pretend is a school, and they're going to turn it around at Chicago Hope or some of these other schools that actually get the job of education done. So of course, that's the whole thing. And I can't believe, but nobody knows. Everybody's surprised every time there's a report. It's like the swallows returning to Capistrano. Once a year we do these reports, and everybody gives the performative surprise, and that's too bad. And then we move on and we wait to do the same thing again the following year.
Exactly. I think probably with the most, it's not amazing at all. It's how do I describe it? One of the biggest failures, if you want to call it that, of Pritzker, he never cares about this, right? He will never ever talk about the failure of these schools. The only thing he'll say is how good graduation rates are and how things have improved, both of which are imaginary numbers. He deserves to really get a hit for his failure to actually address this in any way.
Ted Dabrowski, President of WirePoints, wirepoints.org, all things Illinois policy related. Thanks, Ted.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Parents, grandparents, you might want to be sitting down because this is amazing news. Imagine the student in your family not asking you for money to pay for college, or better yet, not getting into years and years of debt. How's this possible? Scholarships.com, a trusted and widely used scholarship platform that helps your student find scholarships and navigate the financial aid process. Get help to pay for college through a personalized list of scholarships that your student actually qualifies for. Better yet, every scholarship is vetted to ensure accuracy. And now the best part, drum roll please, it's absolutely free. Go to scholarships.com today. Both students and parents can join for free. And within minutes, receive your list of personalized scholarship matches. Check out the wealth of information and resources available at no cost. And read the fantastic reviews from other scholarship winners. Scholarships.com has helped over 23 million students and families find scholarships to help pay for college. And will help you too. Join scholarships.com today for free. That's scholarships.com.
AM 560. The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
So we started talking about it last week. We got to talk about it more because it's the future, and the future is here. Discussion with Neil Chilson, former chief technologist for the FTC, about AI at 8:08.
And later, how you can become part of Thursday's Cigar Night. Today, it's going to be cloudy with record warmth, a high of 88 degrees. It's now 8 a.m. WIND Chicago.
It may be the last day of testimony at the Trump trial. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
We may get a verdict possibly next week when it goes to the jury.
Fox's Eric Shawn outside the court in New York, where Robert Costello will return to the stand soon after clashing with the judge, who admonished Michael Cohen's ex-advisor for commenting on rulings and objections.
Costello testified that, quote, Michael Cohen said numerous times that President Trump knew nothing about the payment to Stormy Daniels.
The former president's charged with falsifying records, reimbursing Cohen's payment to keep Daniels' allegations of a Trump affair quiet before the 2016 election. Now, the former president calls the case a scam with no crime, trying to derail his 2024 campaign. However, Fox's Peter Ducey reports from the White House.
In April, he had a $25 million advantage over the Biden-Harris fundraising juggernaut. You look at the numbers. Biden in April, 51 million. Trump, 76.2 million. And that's got the Trump campaign saying this. President Trump's fundraising haul over Biden is especially remarkable when you consider he has been confined to a courtroom for nearly 9 hours a day over the past 4 weeks.
President Biden will campaign in Boston after going to New Hampshire, touting a 2022 law he signed expanding health benefits for military veterans who exposed to toxins overseas. In Thailand, those ambulances were meeting a plane diverted to Bangkok after being violently shaken in midair. Turbulence on a Singapore Airlines flight from London killed one person on board, 30 others injured. Another death is blamed on the Hurricane Force storm that hit Houston last week. There are still nearly 150,000 power outages, and it's a bad time to be without air conditioning.
As forecasters say, the heat is expected to climb to 90 degrees or more, with a heat index around 100 this week. Houston Fire Department officials say the 8th death blamed on the storms came as a result of carbon monoxide poisoning. Crews are still working to clear debris and restore power, and cooling centers have been opened.
That's Fox's Tanya J. Powers. America's listening to Fox News. 8:02 in Chicago. Right now, partly sunny skies and 63 degrees. And cleanup is underway after storm struck Chicago's Beverly neighborhood yesterday afternoon.
My mom wasn't home. I can't imagine how scary that would have been if she was. You know, the crashing of the glass.
Trees are down in because of yesterday's storm, one falling on a home near 103rd and Campbell. Northwestern University facing a class action lawsuit over anti-Semitism on campus.
The university has an obligation under its own policies as well as the Civil Rights Act to ensure that the First Amendment of these students does not overtake the university's obligation to ensure that Jewish students have a safe environment.
Jonathan Lindenfeld is the attorney for the student who filed suit. An alderman in Waukegan under fire over a Facebook posting. 6th Ward Alderman Keith Turner was called out during last night's city council meeting. Authorities believe the picture that was on that Facebook post was a limb belonging to 19-year-old Milwaukee resident Sade Robinson, who was murdered and dismembered in April in Milwaukee. One of her limbs washed up at a Waukegan beach. Supporters of Turner say it's simply orchestrated outrage from the team of Mayor Ann Taylor, because Turner will be running for mayor in 2025.
Everyone around here knows that he's running for mayor in 2025. I really feel like this is a political stunt from the mayor and her team to put this out here to try to, just smear him.
The investigation into the Sade Robinson murder continues. Bears fans are accusing the club of deceptive practices after the NFL team raised prices for season ticket holders in spite of one less game in their ticket packages. Sun-Times says that an earlier email this year stated ticket prices increased ranging from 6 to 11%. Fans say prices have gone up an average of 18% with, again, the one less home game. White Sox lost to Toronto 9-3. Cubs and Braves at Wrigley Field this evening. Bears back at Hallis Hall for OTAs. The news service of Health Insurance Mentors. Call Stephen Tucker today. For free Medicare advice, visit healthinsurancementors.com or call 630-674-1551. That's healthinsurancementors.com. 8:04. Time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. Now the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Liz Clayman, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Macy's shares are up 1% on signs that its turnaround plan is starting to pay off. Those sales were weaker than a year ago. Earnings topped Wall Street's predictions. Macy's is slightly raising its forecast for the year. The company's making changes and will close 150 locations over the next few years. Home improvement company Lowe's quarter was better than expected. The stock is higher. J.P. Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon acknowledges he might not stay on as CEO for another 5 years. Dimon, who is 68, will receive a special bonus if he stays as CEO until at least 2026. Dimon has suggested he could stay on as chairman. For now, Dimon says he still feels up for the job. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Costello, invested in you.
Charlie Kirk says they did this to themselves.
For the past 20 or 30 years, university campuses have been teaching a very specific worldview, that the world is broken between oppressors and oppressed. This is a Marxist way of viewing the world. These universities are being enveloped by a beast of their own making.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Sebastian Gorka at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
Guys, let's talk game. Practice has recently wrapped up with the annual spring game, and the team has some promising new recruits to watch this fall. But how's your game? Testosterone therapy can help you get back to your best, and there's no better time to get started than this spring. I recommend Low T Centers, where I get my levels checked. At Low T Center, they make it quick and easy. You walk in, take a simple blood test, and get your results back in about 25 minutes. If you often feel tired, have noticed weight gain and loss of muscle mass, you may have low T levels. So go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment online. That's lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Join me, Dennis Prager, on an unforgettable Bible cruise to the Caribbean, November 29th to December 8th, 2024. Imagine 9 days of basking in the sun, surrounded by the stunning beauty of a tropical paradise. Amid profound conversations, I'll share about the Bible and my insights into current events in a way that I believe you will really enjoy. Secure your spot on this once-in-a-lifetime adventure by calling 855-565-5519 or booking online at pragerbiblecruise.com.
Parents, grandparents, you might want to be sitting down, because this is amazing news. Imagine the student in your family not asking you for money to pay for college, or better yet, not getting into years and years of debt. How's this possible? Scholarships.com, a trusted and widely used scholarship platform that helps your student find scholarships and navigate the financial aid process. Get help to pay for college through a personalized list of scholarships that your student actually qualifies for. Better yet, every scholarship is vetted to ensure accuracy. And now the best part, drum roll please, it's absolutely free. Go to scholarships.com today. Both students and parents can join for free, and within minutes, receive your list of personalized scholarship matches. Check out the wealth of information and resources available at no cost. and read the fantastic reviews from other scholarship winners. Scholarships.com has helped over 23 million students and families find scholarships to help pay for college, and will help you too. Join scholarships.com today for free. That's scholarships.com.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for less. And for a limited time, new customers receive their second month free when they sign up and use promo code MONTHFREE by May 31st. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
You know, since 9/11, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation has been committed to supporting our nation's first responders and veterans. They support America's heroes like U.S. Army Major Jonathan Turnbull. Now, Major Turnbull sustained devastating injuries at the hands of an ISIS suicide bomber. Tunnel to Towers gave him a specially adapted smart home designed for his needs. Join Tunnel to Towers. They're hoping all of us will donate $11 a month so this great work continues. Their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org.
8:09, let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of Fox Valley Coins. No waiting, no problem, no charge for in-store verbal appraisals. Bring your gold or silver in today at foxvalleycoins.com. Bloomingdale, an accident with injuries. Army Trail and Glen Ellen Road being cleaned up. We've just heard from the south side, Damon Avenue, north and southbound, now completely shut down between Archer and 33rd due to a bad motorcycle accident there. CTA number 50 Damon buses are being rerouted as well. Slow on the Reagan I-88 eastbound between Randall and Eola. Jane Addams I-90 eastbound jams up Meacham to Route 53. South end of the Dan Ryan jams up between 95th and the Skyway, and the Express slow between 63rd and the Stevenson. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Today, variable cloudiness and windy. Our high today, 88. Clouds and windy tonight. Strong thunderstorms until after midnight. That could bring downpours, hail, damaging wind, isolated tornado. Low 61. Partly sunny tomorrow, the high 75. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
65 at Midway, 65 Aurora, 67 in Joliet, fog, heavy fog, and 56 in Waukegan. Your next news update is at 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So we continue our quest to wrap our minds around the development of AI, pun intended. A good interview by Catherine Mangu Ward in the most recent edition of Reason magazine of Stephen Wolfram. For those who don't know Stephen Wolfram is, probably know some of his work product. He's one of these guys, you know, at 20, he left Oxford because it was boring to him.
Oh, okay.
Or he actually left Oxford because it was boring to him. And at 20, he received his doctorate in theoretical physics from Caltech and then joined the faculty there. So he's a bit of an egghead.
Yeah, he's no dummy.
And he is the founder, creator of research tools that you may have heard of, like Mathematica, Wolfram Alpha, Wolfram Language, the Wolfram Language, you know, if you're in that space. So he talks in depth about his views on AI and whether or not AI can solve, or what AI is oriented to solve amid all of the, you know, concerns about AI, like from movies like Megan or Upgrade and so forth. You know, that it's human extinction. If we could get away from the end of humanity for just a second and talk a little bit more grounded about this. One of the things he says as a way to sort of conceive AI
he responds to the question of what he means when he says, can AI solve science? He says, AI as currently conceived typically means neural networks that have been trained from data about what humans do. Then the idea is take those training examples and extrapolate from those in a way that is similar to the way that humans would extrapolate. One of the things we've learned from large language models is that language is easier to predict than we thought. Scientific problems run right into the phenomenon I call computational irreducibility. To know what's going to happen, you have to explicitly run the rules. Language is something we humans have created and used. Something about the physical world just delivered that to us. It's not something that we humans invented. And it turns out the neural nets work well on things that we humans invented. They don't work very well on things that are just sort of wheeled in from the outside world. Probably the reason that they work well on things that we humans invented is that their actual structure and operation is similar to the structure and operation of our brains. So it's asking a brain-like thing to do a brain-like thing. So yes, it works there, but there's no guarantee that brain-like things can understand the natural world. And then he goes on to talk about some of the applications of the mimicking of human neural networks, just in terms of the everyday, the academic setting, the writing of an essay, the filling out of regulatory forms, and then how the regulatory agency is going to process those forms and so forth. So it's kind of interesting because you're getting a little bit more perspective on real world applications instead of taking it out of the ethereal, whether human beings will exist or not, and whether we're all going to be running around in titanium bodies with smart chips operating our brains and so forth. Yeah, I mean, so
I hate change, so I'm not looking forward to any of this.
Okay, well,
it's already happening.
Yeah, it's coming, whether you like it or not. So now, what are we to understand about it, and what, if anything, are we to do about it? And maybe it's a situation where we turn those aphorisms that part of the human language, those aphorisms on its head. We don't just do something; we stand there, and we let the AI developers compete rather than trying to manage this in a centralized fashion. But let's get some additional perspective on that. To do that, we're pleased to be joined by Neil Chilson. He's a former chief technologist for the FTC, currently the head of AI policy at the Abundance Institute. Neil, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
So, I don't know if you've seen the interview that Wolfram gave, but just in terms of my, I'm sure, incomplete distillation of some of the key things he was saying. I mean, his understanding of how AI is conceived at this juncture in its development, is that sort of consistent with your belief as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And I would never want to correct Wolfram. He's one of my great heroes. And in this case, I think he nailed it exactly correctly. These large language models are pattern creators, right? They're pattern recognizers in many ways. And so you can think of them as extrapolating out from all the data that we give them. They sort of summarize that and then give you something that is sort of like the average of all of the data that they have. And it turns out that that's way more useful than I think anybody thought it would be in creating content such as language or images. But it's not quite the same thing as the sort of rational thinking that you and I can try to do, or analytic thinking when we experience the world and look at it and then try to make decisions to act. Large language models don't really work like that. And so a lot of the fears around them that have this misconception, I think, that are built around this misconception that they're like the Terminator or something, are unjustified largely.
So then the concerns now. I mean, there's been hearings on the Hill about this too. The not knowing what's real and what isn't, what's AI generated and what isn't. Particularly, of course, since it's on the Hill and we're talking about politics and people wanting to regulate political speech, the regulation in that direction. But if it goes in that direction, then it necessarily well, it always bleeds out into other areas as well. But that's central right now against the backdrop of an election is what's AI and what isn't, who's being manipulated and who isn't. What's your reaction to those concerns?
Yeah, so there's been several bills and several hearings on AI and misinformation, and this isn't really a new problem. Humans have been creating misinformation and lying, in many ways. They don't need fancy AI tools to do this. There are a lot of concerns about how this might be used in an election, but I see these concerns often through the lens of incumbents worried that new challengers or people who have new ideas are going to be empowered with these tools that can really raise the professional level of ideas that people have and help them express them in new and more sophisticated ways, the kind of ways that it would take a TV studio or a whole team of editors to put together. A small team can now generate great content. And so I think incumbents see that as a threat in some ways, and we should look at their ideas about regulation through that lens and say, like, is this really the problem? Do we think that decision makers or that voters in this country are so gullible that they won't be able to use their own mind to judge content that's coming at them? I'm from the viewpoint that more speech is better, and these tools definitely are going to help people generate more speech, but I don't think they're going to change the ratio really of lies to truth. And I think we should trust voters and help provide voters the tools that they need to make good decisions. But I don't think the AI content here really changes the game that much.
Yeah, you actually in your Substack, I like the proposal you had from a while back for regulating intelligence generally. It was very sort of Kurt Vonnegut, Harrison Bergeron in its orientation.
Yeah, there's a bit of satire there. I was so frustrated with what I was hearing in the policy space that I thought, these people they're not afraid of artificial intelligence. I think they're just afraid of intelligence. That's not
yeah. So regulate that, right? Regulate human intelligence too, the same way you want to regulate AI. What about concerns about misinformation, original work, and the and the ability of AI to do your school work, maybe your professional work for you? Is there a concern that it will restrict original work product?
Well, like I said, the large language models that we have right now are really good at sort of creating an average of something, and I really like it how I heard my friend Brian Fry put it. He said, if AI is going to do all the boring work for us, it's really on us to do the interesting things. And I think that is really true. It frees us up to be more creative because it's going to do all the boring work. And but it is an obligation, right? Like, if we're just going to cut and paste things from AI tools that are generated, like, I think that's not only is it sort of not very satisfying, it's also a little bit lazy. And I think in the end, it's not going to create a ton of value, because if that's all you're doing in your job, they can cut out the middleman, right, and just replace you with the formula. And so I think it is on us to be interesting. I think we as humans have a really unique capability to be interesting, to come up with new ideas and explore them. AI can help us. We shouldn't use it as just a crutch, but we should use it as a really powerful tool.
Is there a possibility, because I heard this in church, my pastor did her sermon about AI, that it's eventually going to take over the human race?
So there are a lot of this has gotten a lot of coverage relative to the risk that it presents, I think, in part because it's a story that is as old as humans and technology. We always, when we create a new technology, there's always fears that somehow our interactions with this technology are going to be worse for humans. And this goes all the way back to Frankenstein, the idea around there, and some other legends. And I'm not afraid of that. I think Wolfram has a very good pointed view that these are very specialized tools right now, and the way that they work is not in a way where they have goals and intentions or the ability to execute. I think a lot of people who are afraid of sort of robots taking over don't realize how complex the real world is. If you had the smartest human in the world, they still have to deal with all of the rest of us, right? And getting things done is hard. It takes a big network often of individuals who are working towards their own purposes and in the end produce something big and powerful. And that's what markets are really good at. But markets are so much more complicated than these AIs that we have, that I'm not afraid of AIs being able to sort of take over the human race.
With and we played this last week, sort of part of the presentation of it, the release of OpenAI's new model, GPT 4.0, and sort of the question that a lot of people are asking is this going to allow incels to date their operating systems? Is this Joaquin Phoenix and Scarlett Johansson in Her? And this is important for people that don't want to interact with women in particular.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a possibility. I mean, I think that's been, people will use these tools in lots of different ways for companionship, for communication, for feeling heard. I think that we need to open our minds a little. Feeling heard, right? Like you can yell at an AI and it doesn't,
right.
It doesn't hurt anybody's feelings.
Yeah,
right?
My operating system really gets me. Right. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. And so I think people are going to find lots of different ways to use these as outlets for creativity. I don't know the incel problem. The problem of people not getting out there and talking to women is a complicated social one. I don't think it's just on AI, and maybe that I don't know that that's going to solve the problem. But I don't know that if you watch the movie Her, that's not exactly a pessimistic ending in that movie. I don't think. I mean, in some ways, he becomes a better person by the end of it, right? Even though this AI has sort of like tricked him over time. But again, I want to be careful about relying on our takes from movies.
No.
Or how these systems work. They're very different than how they work in the movie.
But I mean, there is hope, Amy, that AI could maybe fix me.
Oh, yeah.
I had a question. So Chuck Schumer says that if China is going to spend $50 billion on directing AI development, then if we don't spend $50 billion, then we're going to be behind China. That's sort of the typical deep thinking that you get from D.C. What's your view on taxpayer subsidization of AI development?
Well, I'm glad that Schumer sees AI as a big potential, and I do think that there is a big concern that that models that don't capture American values will be replaced by ones that capture the values of the Chinese Communist Party. That is a concern. I think we beat China by doing what we do best, which is being American, which is freeing up entrepreneurs to innovate in ways that cannot really be designed from the top down. Are there things that government could do to help that innovation? Absolutely. And I think there are a few things in the roadmap that Schumer has laid out that can help that. I'm always skeptical of subsidization. It's very rarely directed to the right things. And in a space that's as dynamic as this, maybe there are some infrastructure things. There's some government use of AI that really could use additional funding, but additional scrutiny that goes along with that funding. But I don't think that's really the full path to out-competing China on AI. I think the real path is in the private sector and freeing entrepreneurs and companies to build amazing products.
He is Neil Chilson, former chief technologist for the FTC, currently head of AI policy at the Abundance Institute, and you can get his writings at outofcontrol.substack.com. Neil Chilson, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Hey, business owners, are you wondering how to grow your business? Do you need cash flow and a ready source for financing? Well, Signature Bank can help. Hi, Mike Gallagher here to let you know that Signature Bank's loan decisions are made locally by a team who knows your name. cares about your business, and is invested in your success. When you need advice about your business or even have a question, Signature Bank is there to help. There are no handoffs or call centers. This is a team that wants to get to know you and your business. That's why Signature Bank in Chicago is my bank. That's right. I'm a customer. When I call, someone picks up the phone on the other end. And with Signature Bank, I can securely bank anywhere, anytime. Reach out to my friends at Signature Bank. Call 773-467-5630. That's 773-467-5630. Or visit them online at signaturebank.bank. Signaturebank.bank. Your business could be Signature Bank's next success story. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
So I'm at the gym yesterday, and my friend who takes Balance of Nature, we always talk about the benefits of Balance of Nature, but she came up to me. She's, I think in her 80s now, and she said, I have the worst hip pain. And she said, does QC Kinetics work? And I told her we went, some of us here at AM 560 went to one of their offices and learned all about it. I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to explain it to you, but we met some very satisfied customers who swear by QC Kinetics. And instead of going under the knife or taking steroids or other medications, you should go get a free consultation at QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics has partnered with medical doctor Mitchell Shinecup. He's a pioneer in the field with 20 years of clinical work, teachings, and publishing. And I want to talk about her success story next. She is going to make an appointment. The consultation is free with Saturday appointments available. So call this number, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. You do not have to live with joint, elbow, knee, hip, back pain due to arthritis or an injury. Be proactive, get it done, and always get a second opinion before you go under that knife. 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955. Again, that's 312-809-5955.
Suburban Welding and Steel is your local welding, fabricating, and repair shop where service and quality is number one. Their dedicated team of experts can repair a job on site or in their shop located in Franklin Park. They have the machinery needed to get your project completed with the craftsmanship and precision so you can get back to business. Suburban Welding and Steel services more than just the manufacturing industry. They also service the food industry, heavy equipment, trucking, airports, and railroads. Walk-ins are also welcome, so if you need it welded, repaired, fabricated, or modified, Suburban Welding and Steel will do the laser cutting, machining, forming, and plate rolling for you, or they have the materials you need in stock and ready for the purchase. And if you know a hardworking person looking for a career in the trade, Suburban Welding and Steel is looking to add to their team of experts. Visit suburbanweldingandsteel.com to see the full story on what they can do for you. SuburbanWeldingandSteel.com.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles, with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost, month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost.
Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-353-2973. That's 800-353-2973. What do you have to lose? Call 800-353-2973. Again, 800-353-2973.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll talk markets and, economics with John Tammany, RealClearMarkets.com, including why it's a bad idea to allow Freddie Mac into the secondary mortgage market. That's at 8:38.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
8:32, 66 degrees and partly sunny skies. Number of states today will hold primary elections, including Georgia, where Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis is on the ballot. California voters will decide as well who will fill former House Speaker Kevin McCarthy's congressional seat there through the end of the year. Donald Trump's defense team expected to rest its case today in the former president's trial. National Security Council spokesman John Kirby saying the U.S. had no role in Sunday's helicopter crash that killed the president of Iran.
That said, as we in any other case, we certainly regret in general the loss of life and offered official condolences as appropriate.
A group of Tesla investors is urging shareholders to vote against CEO Elon Musk's $56 billion pay package. We're following breaking news in Major League Baseball this morning, where the league is opening up another investigation into another player about sports gambling. The league is now looking into allegations that former LA Angels infielder David Fletcher gambled with an illegal bookie. Cleanup continues after storms struck Chicago's Beverly neighborhood. It was a microburst that took down dozens of trees. A few students at the School of the Art Institute of Chicago protesting the ongoing Israel-Hamas war. Some students protested during commencement yesterday. And lawsuits filed against Northwestern University by ex-football players and former head football coach Pat Fitzgerald will go to trial jointly as early as autumn of 2025. White Sox on a 4-game losing streak following a 9-3 loss to Toronto. Cubs begin a 3-game series against the Braves at Wrigley Field. Stanley Cup playoffs. Oilers score 3 times in the second period, edging Vancouver 3-2 and punching their ticket to the West Finals. The news, a service of Lowe's. Save big every day when you buy in bulk. Get a free pneumatic nailer when you buy a pallet of select Metabo HPT nails. Lowe's knows pros. Selection varies by location while supplies last. Discount taken at time of purchase. See sales associate for details. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher hasn't seen anything like what we're seeing.
Colleges all over America are under siege by people who hate Israel and the Jews. And a whole bunch of faculty members are supporting it. It's wild what we're witnessing right now in this country. It's off the charts wild.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, this is Randy Donnelly from Donnelly Auctions in Union, Illinois with my current want list for upcoming auctions. Guns and military items are always at the top of my list, but I have buyers for vintage automobiles and motorcycles, old gas pumps and automotive signs. Do you have pinball machines and coin-operated games like slot machines, jukeboxes? How about Coke machines and soda machines? Also, neon signs, antique phonographs and music boxes, old toys, especially science fiction and Star Wars, cowboy and Native American collections like barbershop, ice cream parlor, and saloon items. We'll take one item or an entire collection. We sell it all. Call me before you sell your items outright because you could be leaving a fortune on the table. And you won't know until you call me at 815-923-7000 or send me an email at DonnellyAuctions.com. My job is to get you top dollar for your collections, so call me at 815-923-7000. I'm Randy Donnelly, and I'll see you at the auction.
A storm is on the horizon, and you need to keep the lights on no matter what. Your business relies on the power being on 24/7. It's the lifeblood of your data and computer systems. Weather-related outages from the power company are not acceptable. Your need for a source of power that's reliable 24/7, along with round-the-clock service that can dispatch technicians to your site immediately, is mission critical. Your business needs Charles Equipment Energy Systems on speed dial. These are the big boys, not residential or solar, but reliable industrial generators for emergency backup or events. When you need more than a 100-foot extension cord plugged into a small engine generator, call Charles Equipment Energy Systems. They keep the lights on with rental generators for job sites or power outages. The storm season is here. Plan ahead. Call now to prepare generators for sudden damage and potential power outages. Call 630-834-6000. That's 630-834-6000 or charlesequipment.com. charlesequipment.com.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world
one life at a time.
Oh, it's been actually really good. I'm 81 years old. I'm a retired nurse, and I have found, I've taken it for about 5 years, I do feel better. At first, there wasn't a drastic change, but I found it really has made, a difference in my lifestyle. It does improve our quality of life.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order, plus $10 off any additional sets with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
8:38, a check of the roads, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Good news on the south side. Damon, north and southbound between Archer and 33rd, has just been reopened after a fatal accident investigation. Alsip, a semi-accident, has 2 right lanes blocked at 127th eastbound right before Cicero. Traveling on the tri-state this morning, you're jammed up northbound between Archer and 31st. DuSable Lakeshore Drive in the roadwork zone, jammed up southbound between Randolph and 18th. Stop and go traffic on the inbound Dan Ryan all the way in 95th into the circle, 42 in from 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Variable clouds, near record warmth, high 88. Right now, 66. Your next news update is at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We got some op-eds from John Tammany to plumb the depths of a little bit, so I want to get right to him. John Tammany is the editor of RealClearMarkets.com, director of the Center for Economic Freedom at FreedomWorks, or it was, and author of The Money Confusion, How Illiteracy About Currencies and Inflation Sets the Stage for the Crypto Revolution. John, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
So we got a housing crisis, and Freddie Mac, the Federal Housing Finance Agency, Freddie Mac, the Federal Home Loan Agency, created back in then, what was that, Nixon? Was it the 70s? Probably. Anyway, they want to get into the business of backing second mortgages, which would help with the housing affordability problem that we have, and it would be great for consumers.
Yep. Well, that's what they say, but never forget that you could be creating trillions of wealth every year and be a miser, not spend any of it, but you'd still be creating trillions of demand. If you're producing, you're creating demand. All Freddie Mac would do is just take it from one set of pockets and shift it to another set. And worse than that, rather than the money be saved such that it might go to a business or an entrepreneur, it would basically be the government taking $2 trillion from the economy to hand to people in the form of second mortgages so that they would buy things. Well, consumption doesn't drive growth. Savings drive growth.
Yeah, it's interesting too. The aspect of this, since Fannie and Freddie were taken under conservatorship of the Federal Housing Finance Authority in the housing meltdown of 2008, and here we are a decade and a half later, and I guess bygones are bygones.
Yeah, isn't it odd how soon we forget? And so it's been 16 years or something close to that, and so now it's okay for Freddie Mac to expand its remit to something that it should never be involved in, that will do nothing for growth and will just expand the government's footprint. Freddie Mac and all these doth protest too much. They always claim they're private businesses, but as you allude, we learned they weren't back in 2008 when they were taken under conservatorship. Why would we expand what they're doing? It just defies common sense, and I'm surprised there's not more outrage.
Well, I guess that, anything that adds liquidity to the space, and this is something that we've, I guess, become accustomed to, if not addicted to, this idea that government infuses liquidity in this market and that market and the other market. The government is always there to grease the wheels for us to make sure that commerce is properly flowing.
Yep. Well, yeah, I think liquidity is one of the most overrated notions in all of economics. If you're acting productively, rest assured there will always be liquidity or money or investment following you. The notion that government can create liquidity, it can do no such thing. All it can do is maybe push it in a direction that it otherwise wouldn't go, which means that government is substituting itself for the marketplace. We know how that works out, and it just staggers the mind that this is happening without major pushback.
I wanted to get to another piece you posted. The Operation Warp Speed story worsens by the day. You essentially argue that Operation Warp Speed should not have been undertaken. It set a dangerous precedent that we're going to have a very difficult time not repeating.
Yeah, look at what happens here. So now the expectation is that pathogens, which are as old as mankind, when one of them appears, we should empower government to basically throw money at pharmaceutical companies to find a cure. What could go wrong with that? If government's so good at dictating what pharmaceutical companies do during horrific times, why not just have government direct wealth to them during the good times? But see, you and I would laugh at that. We'd say, well, government's a terrible central planner because, again, it can't be the marketplace. And so why, when all about us are losing our heads, why do we think that government can do a better job of directing pharmaceutical companies in the right direction? And there'll just be this expectation now that the response to a pathogen is that we must institute central planning. I reject that notion. I think it failed pretty impressively in 2020.
Well, how much taxpayer funds did go to Moderna and Pfizer?
It's in the billions. I can't give you an exact number, but certainly billions went to Moderna. And remember, it was more than that. It's not just that they threw money at them and said, find a cure or whatever cure. Mm-hmm. They said, once you've done that, produce these in massive amounts because you're not going to be on the hook for inventory mistakes. And so billions more were paid to them to create these cures so that everyone could get the vaccine. Well, think about what that means. Think about that would warp how you run your business. But think about what it did to Americans' health. And this is not me talking about the vaccine. People can have their debates about whether it was good or bad. But if you got the jab because government told you to do it, might that have affected how you lived your life after? As in, maybe did you throw caution more to the wind than you should have if you were at risk from the virus, such that you did things that you wouldn't have done if you hadn't had it? And so it's hard to even make a case that it helped health outcomes.
Well, the other thing is the indemnification of the companies, so that now you don't have the consumer fraud disincentive, you don't have the legal exposure disincentive to make sure that you're not being reckless. Speed, but accuracy too, and with an understanding that there's liability for the decisions you make, which is otherwise the customary understanding in business outside of these exigent circumstances.
No, it's a great point. I'm reminded of a lawyer he was a medical malpractice lawyer, and someone said, well, when are you going to stop doing that? He said, well, I'll stop doing it when doctors stop killing patients. And I don't generally like, I think that especially on our side, we don't like trial lawyers in a lot of ways, but here was an example. How interesting for drug companies if government's directing money to them and sort of managing the cures they come up with. And, oh, by the way, if the cures hurt people, you're indemnified. what a dangerous precedent there, as you allude. And so it's just bad all around.
Well, and it was corrupting, too, as we've had doctors testify to. You know, they get cut in on the action. So the drug companies are indemnified, and then essentially the doctors get indemnified and they get a piece of the action if they get X percentage of their pay. There was basically a schedule. You get X number of dollars if you get this many patients vaccinated, and so on up the scale in terms of compensation. And so it creates all of these government directed externalities and moral hazards. And you go back and you say, yeah, right. If you want to take the vaccine, or if there was obviously going to be a rush to develop the vaccine regardless, because there was going to be such a huge market for it. So there's a huge market opportunity. And I know you're going to have people out there listening and saying, well, you know, all the lives that were saved through the vaccine. Well, and this is, of course, the position that the status always takes with respect to the free marketeer, which is to say, well, look at the good and then sort of don't look at the bad. And then this wouldn't have happened but for what the central planners did. And then you have to argue an abstraction, right? What would have happened if this was just left to market forces?
Well, but I think you're right, but I think you describe what would have happened if, in fact, there was demand for it. If, in fact, it was a lifesaver, then why the need for government? There's going to exist demand for it, and someone might have created, or maybe they wouldn't have created. I mean, that's what terrifies me, is what if government had properly done nothing back in 2020? Government couldn't have locked us down the way that it did in the year 2000 because there would have been a massive revolt. And so what if it hadn't done anything in 2020? Would there have been a clamor for the vaccine in the first place? Again, these are things we don't know, but what we know, central planning always fails during the good times. To presume that it fails during times of uncertainty beggars belief. And so I think the counterfactuals are always on our side in this instance.
I agree. It's just so difficult. It's like people who say, I don't trust the media, and then turn around and say, did you see that story? Can you believe that? You know, it's just like you can't follow your own logic, right? You don't rely and you don't have faith in these institutions, especially to do big social engineering projects. And then, you know, a pandemic comes, there's uncertainty, and then you confer onto people some special knowledge that most of them don't have in government, maybe in the, you know, scientific community and research. Yeah, sure, I'll listen to them, but they get, you know, essentially divided along political lines, and they're essentially, so many of them compromised too because they rely on NIH funding. So it's just this one big, you know, series of people who are conflicted because they have incentives that are not disclosed, and it distorts people's understanding of what's really going on, of what's possible, of what makes the most sense, of what's the most sensible risk, and so forth. I mean, it just is. It's really an incredible. That whole period is just such an incredible period in human history to examine and discuss in terms of really thinking about how a free society should be organized. Which, so I appreciate you had, you know, frankly, the stones to write that piece, because that is not a piece that the Operation Warp Speed should have never been undertaken, that too many people will put their name on these days.
No, it's sad, and so many on our side, even the Wall Street Journal's editorial page said, "Oh wow, what an amazing thing it was," and you know, I'm just reminded of Fauci loves baseball.
Yes.
So let's assume he's at Wrigley Field. Let's assume what's maybe not true. He's the smartest individual inside Wrigley Field. Okay, we can assume that. But see, if a packed Wrigley Field or even a half-filled Wrigley Field, the people in there, their collective knowledge would be exponentially greater than Fauci's. And the point there is that's why markets work. They don't work because everyone is a genius, but because the combined knowledge of everyone is really staggering, and it can never be matched up to by experts. And so this notion that we can hand over our freedom to the experts during terrifying times is why there's always a crisis. The crisis is never in freedom. It's in substituting the knowledge of the very few for the knowledge of the masses. It never works, and we saw it once again in 2020. Disastrous consequences, tens of millions put out of work, hundreds of millions around the world rush towards starvation and poverty. We're still feeling it today in the form of higher prices. You can't shut down global cooperation and expect prices to readjust to where they were. And it goes on and on and on. And we haven't discussed this enough, so I'm glad we're discussing it. And I won't stop, because if we stop discussing this, history will say that a virus caused a global economic calamity. No, it did not. Political panic, the substitution of politicians and experts for the marketplace, is what caused the calamity.
John Tammany, he's the editor of RealClearMarkets.com. He's also the author of the book, The Money Confusion, How Illiteracy About Currencies and Inflation Sets the Stage for the Crypto Revolution. John, thanks as always.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Hey, folks, Donald Trump Jr. here. Let me ask you this. Does inflation feel worse than we're being told in the news? That's because the official inflation rate doesn't tell the whole story. Since January of 2021, the cost of living has increased by 17.9%. You can't get that money back. But what you can do is stop your losses today. How? By diversifying your savings into a gold IRA from my friends at the Birch Gold Group. When you're done, your money will be parked in a tangible asset with proven history. To see how it works, get your free info kit on gold IRAs by texting the word HEDGE to 989898. Birch Gold is the only gold company I trust. They provide an easy process to roll over your 401k or IRA into gold without losing your tax advantage status. So text HEDGE to 989898. That's HEDGE to the number 989898 to get your free info kit on gold IRAs from Birch Gold.
Message and data rates may apply.
It's going to be hot today, a high of 88 degrees. And as you bust out that grill and get your patio ready for this warm weather, remember that hot dogs, brats, burgers, and beer don't provide the fruits and vegetables that your body desperately needs every day to stay healthy and energized. That's why I've been taking Balance of Nature for nearly a decade. It's so easy to open up those individual capsules and dust them over my salad or mix them into my juice drinks or warm water. That's how I do it. And thousands of AM 560 listeners love their Balance of Nature, and you will too. 6 capsules a day provides your body, your heart, and your mind with over 10 servings of 31 different fruits and vegetables. You'll love it. Your body, mind, and heart will thank you for it as well. So order today by calling 800-246-8751 and use coupon code Chicago to save 35% off your first order and free shipping as a preferred customer. 800-246-8751. Call now or order online at balanceofnature.com and use discount code Chicago. Balance of Nature, fruits and veggie supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
Chicagoland certified financial planning professional Tim Stearns discusses taxes in retirement.
Most people are paying more in taxes and keeping less of their money to live and do what they enjoy. That's why we've put out the Retirement Tax Bill Calculator online. You can see with your own eyes just how much you might be overpaying. It's a valuable tool, $500 value, but we made it free for you to view and run your own numbers at MVPCFP.com. That's MVPCFP.com.
To run your retirement tax bill calculator, go to MVPCFP.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Cornerstone Securities, LLC.
It's your life, your legacy. Shouldn't it be your choice? For nearly 2 centuries, Catholic Cemetery Chicago has been a haven for families, offering sacred spaces to honor these legacies. Take an active role by pre-planning your final arrangements. Alleviate your loved ones a future financial burden. Lock in today's prices and take advantage of no interest payments and no hidden fees. Visit CatholicCemeteriesChicago.org or call 708-236-5490 to schedule a free consultation today.
Hi, I'm Ron Kraszewski, Chairman and CEO of Stifel. Financial advisors, let's face it, if you're not growing your practice, you're losing market share.
Stifel is a growing, entrepreneurial, advisor-centric firm built for successful advisors like you. There's a reason why 148 financial advisors joined Stifel last year. Come join us and find out why Stifel is the firm where success meets success. Visit www.choosestifel.com.
Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential. But finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Guys, let's talk game. Practice has recently wrapped up with the annual spring game, and the team has some promising new recruits to watch this fall. But how's your game? Testosterone therapy can help you get back to your best, and there's no better time to get started than this spring. I recommend Low T Centers, where I get my levels checked. At Low T Center, they make it quick and easy. You walk in, take a simple blood test, and get your results back in about 25 minutes. If you often feel tired, have noticed weight gain and loss of muscle mass, you may have low T levels. So go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment online. That's lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
AM 560, The Answer.
Don't forget, due to popular demand, we're making some overflow tickets available for Thursday night's Cigar Night with His Eminence Dennis Prager. 560theanswer.com/cigar. 560theanswer.com/cigar to get those overflow tickets to Cigar Night.
That'll be great. And hopefully you'll be kind enough to give them some cigars, maybe out of.
Yeah, we'll get cigars. I'll steal them from Sean's place.
Yeah, exactly. And also,
no.
Oh,
I will.
Sorry.
I will. What's the?
What did he call
I
it?
will rebalance my possession of cigars from Sean's cigar shop according to what I think I should have, a la Lawrence O'Donnell's explanation of Michael Cohen's embezzlement.
Oh my gosh! And also, happy birthday, Louise! It's my mom's 81st birthday today.
Oh, happy birthday, Mrs. Jacobson!
Yeah, we had a big celebration for her last year, and she's getting nothing this year. No, I'm going to give her a massage or a facial or something. But yes, happy birthday, Mom. Love you to death. All right, thanks to Justin Kosick and Quinn McCarthy. It's now 9 a.m. WIND Chicago.
Testimony might wrap